Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 10th point season 8 first qualifier. And that is Xanti's camera.
It
Let's
is
put
indeed.
myself there. It seems better. Hey, it's me, the Red Mage. I am the Red Mage, and joining me on the line this week, as every week, is Gosman. Yo, Gosman.
Hello,
How goes?
hello. Trying to fix my camera setup here just so it's correctly angled and
Yeah,
stuff.
we can only see you're very low right now. There you go.
Yeah, that's why I'm moving it. Yeah, so yeah, as you might have figured out, Santi, for reasons unknown, perhaps his spark ignited and he just planeswalked some other plane. I don't know. Can't be here today. We do not know why we haven't been able to get in touch with him prior to the tournament. That is a bit sad, but that just means you'll have to make do with Red Mage and I today, as we've done a couple for a season or two before. So that's
Gosmith
what you have.
has his own tournament to attend to organize actually, so he also cannot. Sorry, Loman has his own tournament
Yeah,
to organize,
exactly.
so he also can join us. So
And it was a bit
uh,
late to just ask someone that random, like, oh god, oh god, oh god.
we might have to get it done that way, but for now, it's gonna be just the two of us, and we're gonna do our best
Exactly.
to make sure that we do what we need. So we have a
Speaking of,
qualifier tournament today, so we don't have our usual fare. What's going on? And that was
I
an
don't know.
invitation for you to say something. It's fine. I can clear
Oh,
it
I,
up.
I thought you were like confused, like you had some technical issues, like you were
Uh,
like, oh, what's going on? Oh no, oh
it's
no,
okay. So
everything's burning. Oh no.
no, everything
No,
is
but yeah,
okay. No,
yeah, we
basically
are
what's
in fact
happening is
playing
that
it.
normally we
Sorry.
have a 10-week season, and the player who do well during the season, every tournament gives you points, and then the points leader get invited to the finals. But in order to allow different people that normally don't get a chance to qualify for the season for whatever reason, maybe they can't guarantee a weekly commitment, maybe their time zone doesn't work or whatever, we decided to introduce two separate qualifiers during the season. The way that it works is that our season finals is going to be a top 8. The top 6 of the leaderboard for the regular season get invited, and then the two qualifiers, the winner of each of the qualifier tournaments gets invited directly to the final. There is no consistency required. You win, you're in. So that's kind of exciting.
For the people who aren't too familiar, we did mention this is a tournament, but we didn't go too much into depth with what we're actually doing here today. Before we go into the nitty-gritty details of structure and such, we should probably mention what type of tournament we're playing today. Is it standard? Is it legacy? What are we talking here?
That
We're
is
talking
fair.
Canadian Highlander, my friends here, which is a 100-card singleton format. If you're unfamiliar with it, you play 100 different cards with and instead of having a ban list, we have a points list, which allows you to play some of the most busted magic cards, Demonic Tutor, Black Lotus. But due to the fact that Demonic Tutor is 4 points, Black Lotus is 7, that's a total of 11 points if you want to play them both in your deck. But you only have 10. That's why we are called the 10th point. So you're not allowed to play both of the same deck at the moment. That is a way to
It's
still keep the amount of balance in the format.
it's a
It allows
way.
them, yeah,
I like saying that it's a way to make sure that the decks are busted but not too busted.
yeah. The comparison that often here is it's somewhere around a vintage cube draft. Like you have a couple power cards, like really busted cards, and then sometimes you just have a 1 mana 1/1 mana dork. Like that's still really good, but it's not like ancestral recall levels here. Like, but yeah, we'll be playing a tournament. If you're interested in the format, we have a Discord. That is not that is an old from when I was doing something. Discord.
I gotcha.
There we have it. Where you can talk everything Canadian Highlander, whether it be deck brewing, playing games, whatever. That is your primary place to do that. Alternatively, if you're interested in what we're doing here, we have a website where you can learn everything about us, more or less within reason. Like, what are our rules? When will the next tournament be? Who are we? Just all that kind of info. Where we also put our tournament records up once we're done. If you're interested in playing one of these events, we did mention that this is a special event, but on next week we'll be having yet another usual event. I'm not sure if we have the next event.
We don't.
We do not have it up yet, but we will be posting out in at least as late as Wednesday. Will the tournament announcement be up, and we'll probably also get the link up perhaps sometime later today.
It is going to be up during this tournament. I will let people know
Exactly.
when I'm done. When I'm done setting it up. I just
If you're
haven't
interested,
done it yet.
no, that's fine. That's fine. We had some technical troubles with a person missing. That was something we had to look at, amongst others. But yeah, if you're interested in helping us out here, in helping us support these great players and their great finishes, we mentioned we had a final. We use the money we get through subscriptions and through ads such to actually go to prizes and other things that help us run this channel and run these tournaments. It's purely non-profit here. So any subscriptions is just a help to incite more awesome magic and better prices and everything in that direction. So that's a huge help. And if you have a Twitch Prime specifically, we would love to have it. But at the very least, you should send it towards someone, because you know what? Jeff Bezos and Amazon, they'll probably be fine without it.
We'll need to
With that
fix
being said,
this introduction at some point because Jeff Bezos is no longer the Amazon CEO, so we'll need to figure out who he is and then start saying their name instead.
I mean, he still probably makes a pretty decent margin off of it, I'd imagine.
That I do
Like,
not
he's
know.
still earning. It's not like he's like completely out. But yeah, you're right. So today we will be playing 3 rounds instead of our usual 4 rounds of Swiss before going to a top 4 of the best players by ranking today. Those 4 will then play a typical top X style, a single elimination until only one of them is left, and as we said earlier, that person will get an invite to the finals. I think we're out of the way. We have 10 lovely players today, and I think it's about time we get some pairings underway and we see what we have to work with today.
Sure, I'll just pair it
How does
around
that
then.
sound?
If just to make a point, just to make the reason that we had to change our original tournament structure is that unlike for a regular season matches, we need like a singular winner for these events. So
and because like if we had 4 rounds of Swiss, firstly we probably only have, with the amount of people we usually have, we would only have one person, and we wanted a top X for like these just to, since we want only one winner, we want it to be we want a decent amount of matches as well. So at least a top X something was kind of probably needed.
Yeah.
That was just a last minute kind of like, well, not last minute, but like that was the best we could do to keep some sort of like, not just being I was lucky today and that's it, but actually have some sort of consistency to it.
All right, I'm gonna publish the pairings now. They have been
Lovely
published.
stuff. Let us see, what do we have here
do we
today? Because I
watch?
think we have actually a good bit of people. As said earlier, we focused on bringing it here today, so we had some people we don't usually see here. So I'm trying to look at what we have here for today. I see here we have Kelvin versus Evius. Kelvin we haven't actually seen around before. Kinesthetics, also someone we haven't seen before, and isleepcrucified as well. I think featuring some of those here in these early rounds might be a nice way to get some alternative views on what to play in the format here.
Do we have a matchup of any? Do we have any 2 players that no? They got matched up.
No, sadly
All of
not.
them got matched
Sadly
up.
not. There's not a easy choice here for us. My line of thought here is probably, I'd imagine Kinesthetics and Wolfgang is the final option, and Brahms and isleepcrucified is the ones I'd personally be recommending.
Let's watch Brahms then.
That sounds great. So we're just gonna get the feature map set up here. We're gonna let them know that they are down and they're up to be doing stuff. So we still currently have them in here. Yeah, isleepcrucified is still in here. Don't have much to add here currently. Just trying to fill the air. Crucify my man, or girl, I don't know. You're gonna have to jump out of the booth at the very least. If you're there. Just letting you know.
Sorry, what was that?
Kind of like you to jump out of the booth because we're not gonna have you in here listening to us talking while we commentate on your match, as you are in fact the feature.
Plus, we do need for you to go somewhere where you can capture your screen so we can see your hand.
Preferably in tournament 4.
Or any other tournament, depending on whether you want to be in the same. Do you want to be able to talk to Brahms or not? I don't care.
Yeah,
It's
true.
fine.
This is one of the reasons we set up our system this way. Beyond the fact that it's just a maybe I'm not you're the one with the technical aspects here. I'm not sure if the easiest is the correct term, but it is a simple solution at the very least.
Well, it's not that simple because we have to have all of these 28 different tournament accounts that do things, and it's weird, but it works, and it's fine.
Great. And let's see here, we have Brahms camera getting ready. Asleep.
Yeah,
He's
Bram's
also
camera
getting
is ready. It's
going.
just a matter of
So I would
crucify.
like to ask you, once you have a second, I know you're setting up the cameras, but if you could take a 5-second look at each of the deck lists and just give me an idea of what they're playing, then I'll talk a bit about that for a second.
I absolutely can. So Brahms is on medium green. That's a deck that he has piloted many times in the past, and has had good success with. Islip Crucified is on a deck that he has labeled Pot and Taxes, and it appears to be a Death and Taxes list that is using. It's like a 3-color hate bear list that is using specifically pod to make sure that it can find the original the hate bird that it needs for any specific situation. It appears to be at least somewhat inspired to the classic modern pod decks.
Does it have the does it have a classic pod combo finish?
I will check that for you in a
Like a
second.
key deacon, presumably.
Let me double check that. I don't know why they're not starting the match, but
I think it seems like Brahms is still getting crucified to get into the match.
right. Yeah, okay.
Again, as we said, we do have some new players here, so that means we are gonna have some people who aren't too used to our setup and how they show off the matches. So this will take a little bit of time. But yeah, mono green Stompy or mono green medium, as we also like to call it, is a deck that will usually play a lot of cards that are like around the 3, 4, 5 CMC. I try and quickly cast them by using cards like Soul Ring, Mana Crypt, those type of cards, Ancient Tomb. But especially since you're playing green, you're also just playing a lot of solid mana dogs like War Elves and Elvish Mystic and those kind of cards to help you just cheat out these solid fatties, bring some beats, and as well as some honestly decent
It's
placeholders that can just grind out the game as we've seen before.
yeah, it's
And
kind of like
literally that point.
it's reminiscent in a way of a hoof deck that instead of going hyper mana, it's basically set up so that what it's maximizing is casting 3 drops on turn 2 and 4 drops on turn
Yeah,
or
I
even
mean
5 drops on
that's
turn
why
3,
yeah
and try to get
that's
it
why you
done that
also
way.
sometimes call it a list like this would be called a Stompy deck. I think usually Stompy decks play a good bit less ramp and fast mana and more just 2 drops and such than a medium list will tend to do. But overall, this is a deck that just goes play some big creatures, slam some phase, maybe play a planeswalker or two as well, and just see if that gets them there. And like, you know what? The quality of green creatures has gotten better over these last couple of years. Not gonna lie. Questing Beast, we've seen a lot of solid cards. Like Akarov is a pretty decent 5-drop these days still. It ain't bad. Also, just cards like Scavenging Ooze that we've had for ages is still a solid card. There's a ton of good cards to just slap on the board and just go deal with it. I'm not sure which free colors specifically we are running in the project. I'm presuming,
Abzan.
Jason, you said
This is
D&D.
Abzan, I think.
White and green and what? Absent?
I think this is Abzan. I saw Kambal. There's some of that
Absolutely,
stuff.
then it's probably an absent-based deck. Yeah. So I think what's interesting about that list, and I'm not sure exactly how it's built, is that if we take the idea of like this 8-bear deck, is that it's really good at dealing with like particularly like things like non-creatures and what do you have? Oh, we have the game here going. It's really good at
Yeah,
like
the reason that they were
like
waiting
hating
was
out
that there was a little
things.
bit of a miscommunication. One of them was in the wrong
Yeah.
lobby, but they figured it out. Gonna quickly update the various player names.
Looking at Brahms' hand here, pretty solid. It's a 1-drop. It's into a not the best Raffaellos I've ever seen, considering we have literally one forest. Can also go just for a quick like library and or. So how much mana do we have if we go turn 2? We have 4 mana on turn 2, so we can't go both library and Vivian. That would be 5 mana. We can't either go Raffaellos and library because that would be triple green. So that part is a tad bit awkward, but it's not the end of the world. Like you can still just go turn 3, play a bunch of things at that point. Definitely a lot of solid options here. A fine hand. I'm not sure exactly what Crucified has. We're trying to just get the camera set up here quickly. Red Mage, do you want me to help them out? And you can take some commentary just here for a second.
It's okay. I'm just writing them in the MTG chart. I'm sure that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep talking about this matchup then
Yeah.
while we wait. Yeah, Devon Taxes usually mono white. It's the deck that's really good at like hating on specific strategies depending on how you build it. You can play your Thalias and such, and thereby hate on very non-creature heavy decks. You can play Core Firewalker and hate on mono red and red heavy decks. You can play like a lot of these like specific tech cards, and so usually also a couple of tutors. The problem is with the nature of mono white, you don't have that many tutors again, so you can't like consistently find the right card. That's one of the advantages of adding things like green, because then you get like a ton of creature tutors. Adding black gives you just even more hate pieces. White black is a common D&T version these days, as it gives you a lot of powerful hate pieces. Again, Kambal was mentioned earlier, great against Storm and blue-based decks in general. But the thing is, the downside of playing green and adding black is that suddenly that aggressive curve, just going 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, gets a tad bit more awkward. You're playing more specific cards and tutors, so that slows your deck down. Admittedly, D&T isn't the most aggressive deck, but it's definitely a deck that can still pressure the opponent. So you're making a decision that you're going to be able to get your specific pieces more often, but you're going to be able to play the beat down less often. And I think that's going to be really important in this matchup. I don't think there's a lot of things like a lot of hate pieces, particularly you might want like your palace jailers and your like removal creatures if you have some of those, because that's going to be a really good way to deal with like your opponent's questing beasts and such, and like fractals or whatever. But they're going to just continually play planeswalkers, and threats are just like bigger than your creatures in general. And if you're playing a father, yeah, sure, you're making in there Silver Library, their creatures will cost just a tad bit more, but you're also kind of just not blocking them that well because they're just that +1/+1 over you consistently at least. What you want to be doing and then is depending on what exactly cards you're running. If you're running some cards that I mentioned Palace Jailer here, for example, those kind of cards are going to be great in this matchup as you're going to be able to deal with a few creatures that might end up being problematic. Evasion is also going to be a big deal. Green, while green does have reach, flying is still usually a problem in this deck, as most popular creatures that we play do not actually have reach in this format. So flying still a great way to get past the green decks. Like even Bits of Paradise, sure it has flying, but it's an 0-1, so it's usually not gonna be that big of a threat on the defense. We are still trying to get the cameras up here and
Yeah,
going.
we're working it out.
We'll probably have to give them some more time if they need it in round 2 as well. Just in case. Albeit, I don't think this is the type of matchup that will take too long.
Yeah.
In general.
I'm telling the players that if they need to start a new match after game 1, they can feel free to do so, since obviously like Brahms' clock is like already at 90 minutes, right? Since
exactly.
Yeah, Brahms said that he's
So
gonna
we have the
play
match
game
going here.
1.
We're just gonna while we're
Mostly because after
Depending
10
on
minutes of
that,
inactivity, he's going to get booted, right? Like that is.
yeah. And like worst case, we move on to Asleep having to wait a bit here, and then they go about equal at some point. While we get it set up here.
No, we'll probably just play a game and then go to.
Yeah, the wait of the hand cam for another game. That might just be what we have to do here, because it's a tad bit too late to switch over to something else, and yeah, that's about it really. So let's see here. Looking at the game. Of course, the birds here are pretty obvious first turn. What I'm curious about was what, depending of course on what Brahms draws as well. I'm curious about is he gonna go for the Raffaellos, the Planeswalker to immediately start plussing and minusing it and getting value that way? Or are we gonna see the library to try and dig for something better? I'm really actually unsure about what the exact curve will look like here from Brahms. I think it depends. If your deck goes quite big and you might want to try and see if you can find like a way to cast a like 5-drop next turn, then you probably want to be on the Raffaellos. If you feel like if your opponent goes turn 1 blue source, then you might just go, well, I want to have a library in play. They can't really ever deal with that, and I'm just going to draw all the cards. I think this is a like very flexible hand, but also a hand that doesn't inherently do something immediately on its own. It needs to find an answer of some sort.
Oh, we did it. We have the hand.
Oh, we got a camera rolling. Lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. There we go. So let's just get that quickly set up and let's get them going so we can get some powerful magic in the air tonight. Okay, looking at what we have here, looks to be a triplet of lands, a drive militant, a card I'm not sure what it is.
If you
and then
want
a
to be
pure
muted,
silver
you're
paladin, I think it's
currently
called.
unmuted.
I'll admit I can't remember, but it's the 1 white for 2/2 with Soul Bond, and it gives double strike to both itself and
Silverblade Paladin is the card.
Silver Blade Paladin. That was the word. Well, words, I suppose, if you count multiples. That is in fact a 2-drop as well. So that is a solid 1-2-3 line there. It is a well, it's not technically a mono white hand. It does have a black source in it once you need that, but it is a hand that if you suddenly draw one of your green spells, I'm presuming that is in fact a triple color deck and not just a deck splashing like pod, then you're in a position where like you are lacking some mana. That is one of the downsides. Like if you want to go to 1 Dried Militant, that means you're not playing a Burst of Paradises or something to fix your mana.
To be fair,
playing
it
a bunch
might
of
just
planes,
be.
those are not
I
red.
didn't actually see green cards. Now that I think about it, I just assumed it's a pod deck.
It might just be white black splashing pod as
Yeah,
a
because you
quote
don't need
unquote
actual green mana to
card.
make pod work.
Exactly. That would actually be a reasonable decision.
I'm
That
gonna
doesn't
double
mean that
check
you
to
suddenly
choose someone.
sacrifice a lot of like. That is a card that means that if you want to play pod, then you're saying this is not a card that's there for when I'm playing against some mono red or any other type of aggro deck. Because like, oh god, do I just not want to pay 2 to cast it? pay 2 to activate it each and every time against a deck that's just casting lightning bolts against my face. But it's great if you're suddenly up against like a land deck and you just want some answer to the lands or whatever. Suddenly you're like, okay, this is much better.
I'm not
So,
dying
as I
as
mentioned-
much.
Exactly, you're not dying. That's usually a pretty good starting point. Now I'm curious to
I
see what line of
Do
play
enjoy not
Brahms
dying.
here. Not sure what is happening to Brahms' camera right there. There seems to be something that's kind of like overlapping it.
I'm working on it.
We're going for the Refellos. We're going for the fast mana. That makes a lot of sense.
There you go.
Just getting the mana deployed here. Trying to set up. That is a Wasteland in Crucified's hand, which currently isn't going to be able to hit anything. And I think by the point that it is, I think Brahms is so far ahead of mana that you're probably going to just have to prioritize your board state over it. Especially now with the path in hand, that means that just Wastelanding is kind of like, it's not that productive, honestly, in the end.
Well, Wasteland in an Ancient Tomb is still kind of a big... It's still kind of a big deal. Like,
Yeah,
that
it's
is...
definitely real. It's a real choice, but I think like at this point, my opponent has a Refellos, Burst of Paradise, and at least 2 lands. That's 5 mana. I have 2. And like, I guess we're going to see a path here to slow down the mana a little bit. I'm not sure if that's worth it. Now, of course, I know the hand, so that makes it easier for me to just go, that's a mediocre choice, because we know
Oof.
there happens to be no real good choices currently, but nonetheless. Front,
Here's
not that
Thrawn.
good a target either. So we have, what, 6 mana here? We can go for a Library in the front this turn. That's definitely a solid option. We go that route.
I would probably Thrawn and then keep Regeneration up.
You like keeping
The-
Regeneration here? Interesting.
Like,
Why is it-
I feel that my opponent's on like some sort of Death and Taxes deck, and as long as this Thrawn can regenerate and is on top, what is my opponent gonna do? Wrath of God me?
Well,
They're
what
not
are
gonna
you-
have that card in
Well,
their
the
deck.
question is, what are you keeping the Regenerate for? Like, you're not playing around like a mass, some sort of sweeper. If you see turn 1 Drive Militant.
Oh, combat. I want to be able to block this Dryad Militant even if it picks up some sort of equipment.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's perfectly reasonable. I just think getting the library down here is more likely to be relevant. Like, at most, the most I'm seeing here is a 1 mana equipment with a 1 mana equip, most likely, or 2 mana equip. Like, I'm not seeing a sword, I'm not seeing a Jid here, because those are both too expensive. If that's the line I thought you want to go down. Ironically, this Pure Blade Paladin is actually quite good, as it just so happens. In the scenario where you don't keep up regenerate mana, but then you're still only taking 4 damage. You're not getting any triggers really off. And then you can always block like the following turn. And
Yeah.
suddenly you have a Sylvan Library plus a what did she call again? Vivian.
Oh,
So you
Vivian,
just, like, you
right.
keep like a creature on top, play the Vivian, -2 hurt, take it to creature, get rid of all the cards you don't want. Like suddenly you have a lot of digging here that you can do while
Yeah,
still
Vivian
going close to
clears
cards.
the top of your library. It's pretty
Yeah, it does
awesome.
help clear like if you want to. I think it's a really powerful way to. I'm actually interested in the lineup choice here of not just playing the Wasteland here. Because like 1 health, honestly, it's gonna matter in this matchup. You're seeing a front here. That's probably a pretty good sign that you will be getting hit here in some shape or form, which is usually the case for the green decks. I think the only case where you're not expecting too much beatdown from a green deck is if it's some sort of combo deck usually, or if the green is like a splash for like abrupt decay or row, those kind of things. Then you might be a bit more safe. But if you have like a person who's going Rafellos, Burst of Paradise, front, I think they want to punch me in the face with 4/4s and 5/5s, preferably many times. Yeah, and I think it makes a lot of sense to just get in with a Dry Mutilation tier. Anything else would just be like, yeah, then they can attack, activate front. Sure, I can attack back for 8 if they don't have like a 5/5. So I think getting in a damage now that the regeneration shield is down is what you kind of have to do. Because this run is going to be difficult for you to deal with playing this bot deck here. I mean, front is generally difficult to deal with, like even more so.
I've done a little bit of digging. There are no green cards in Isleepcrucified's list. He's just playing pod as
Well,
with an
Pod is
activation
really
of
cool card.
colorless and lands. Do you want to know what I think the most interesting card in this list is, actually?
Absolutely.
Karn, Sign of Urza.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're
I think that is
definitely...
the 4-mana one, correct?
That
And
is
is it the one with the passive or the
older
one that
4-mana
allows
one.
you
It's not the 4-mana one that just broke Legacy for a while.
No, it's the one that makes tokens and draws some cards, or well,
Yeah,
exiles, I
yeah, yeah.
suppose, with some cards. Yeah, that is a perfectly reasonable play. Pod usually runs like Gideons and sometimes like Elspeth, the 4-mana Elspeth. Like you usually run a couple 4-mana planeswalkers.
They have a 4-mana
What is
Elspeth.
the
I don't think it's the one that you think they have, but they do have one.
there's more than one?
Yeah, there's Knight Errant and Sun's Nemesis, which is the one they have. I think I broke Gosmet.
No, sorry, someone was just talking to me in the background. And I have to keep like this is the second time someone opens the door and I'm like, I'm kinda doing something here. Thank you, kindly. Yeah, once again, this is what I'm saying. Scavenging Ooze not that incredible right now, but like prime time? Yeah. Yeah, I'll take it. I might even honestly keep a Scavenging Ooze here. Like I'm tech 4. I can see that. I don't think it's worth it considering you have both the Tomb and for Misty and the Scoos here. I think you're fine just putting Scoos back and just slamming. I'm just slamming this prime time here. Like not even a question. I get to slam it and still hold. I guess I'm only holding 1 mana up currently, am I not? Yeah, 1 mana is not enough to regen the front, unless we can find some magical land from the Titan and just like comes into play untapped or untouched land. Still, though, I think it's correct. Unless you want to play the Viren and like maybe like hold up the ability to flash in the Scoos. That seems a bit weird.
So if you want a land that you can fetch off the Titan, to that still will add some mana, that exists. Actually.
Oh yeah, I'm perfectly aware that those exist. But the problem with those are that they add the mana immediately, which
Yes,
means
there
I don't really
is
want
one, actually. Crumbling
one that doesn't do it
Vestige.
immediately.
Yeah, Crumbling Vestige. When it enters the battlefield, you add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool.
Yeah, but I'm saying I want something that allows me to keep the mana for next turn, so I can hold up this front shield. Sadly, that's not really a possibility.
No.
As far as I know.
I just wanted to
And
show
if you
off that
do
I
run
knew they
that
had a
land, it's a
Crumbling
very
Vestige.
weird reason to play it. That said, I presume are we on like do we have any sick prime time tech to get here? Is it like just Wasteland and something else, or do we have some sick cards to get here? Do we perhaps have like Dark Depths combo perhaps to get? Have we gone that
If
deep
you
with
have
our prime
Titan
time?
in your deck, that might be a possibility. I'll take a look.
I just think if you're playing this medium green deck, like you don't have too many land to this. Running a Dark Depths is too risky. The amount of times where you don't have the prime time.
There is no Dark
That is
Depths.
not worth it, in my opinion. You might run a slight lands package.
There
Definitely
is
an
no
option.
Dark Depths.
No, I imagined. Karakas, yep, definitely a solid option here. Allows you to protect some things. And Treat of Village, which is then just not a threat, which is perfectly also reasonable.
Yeah, that
And
lands
finally
that
here goes
their quote unquote spell lands are something like Castle Garenbrig that essentially ramps. They have a land
which we're not
destruction
running for.
package in Risharanport, Wasteland, and
No strip land, I presume then.
I don't think they're on
Makes
strip.
sense. It makes a lot of sense. Like you just you want to put all your points as many points as possible into fast mana.
Yeah,
Much.
then
Maybe
the
if you have something left.
the other lands that do some stuff that I see here are Hasha Poesis, Mutavolt, and the other one, Mishra's Factory. And
So do we have a green sword here?
Also Frostwalk Bastion. And then there's a Scavenger Grounds, which is kind of interesting.
So I'm just going to interrupt you here. We do see the Stoneforge come down here, and I think it's really interesting to see. Do we have the pro green sword? Do we have like? I don't think we see sort of put in mind.
Feast and Famine, I believe, is into
Feast
that.
and Famine
I
might
think
be
I
a
saw
real
it.
card here if they have chosen to play that. I don't expect them to. I expect them to be on like maybe
Feast and
Battleskull,
Famine is
definitely
in their
Skull
deck.
Clan.
Sword of
is?
Feast and Famine is in their deck. I did check.
Oh boy, I don't think
They
there's a
didn't get
chance
it,
where you.
but
There's no way you don't take it. Like you have a double strike him to play in play. Whoa,
oh, that's
taking the
disgusting.
shit.
I didn't think of that.
I think you just want to sort of Feast and Famine and then just
Oh
like start
no,
swinging for like.
Sword of Light and Shadow is in their deck, not Feast and Famine. That is odd.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense.
That is an
Not
odd
necessarily
choice.
card choice, but why you choose to get the legit here.
Yeah, you can gain this
I mean,
deck can gain protection
one
from
of
every color but green.
one advantage of like. Nope. There you go. Just had to name someone in
Oh,
chat. A bot.
yeah, we had the ball.
One of the advantages of taking having like light and shadow. Sure, it has some nice trigger abilities. You gain some life. You bring back a creature from your yard. Nice stuff. Don't get me wrong. One of the most incredible of the swords. What I like about it though is the protection specifically. Pro
Yeah.
white, pro black is a really good way of dealing with 2 or 3 of the most important removal colors alongside red.
Yeah, it's
So
kind of
if you have a key threat to protect, that is a decent way to do it.
it's kind of interesting that the swords that you want that have the colors that you want the most protection of, where you have 2 colors that have strong removal colors, specifically red, white, and white, black are definitely the weakest in terms of effect.
Whereas like blue, red, and black, green are like more on the
fantastic.
like.
And then there's
Yeah.
Sword of
I
Body and
wouldn't go as
Mind,
far as
who,
saying Feast and Famine is that great actually in this format. We don't really use it. I think it's pretty good if you have like a blue-white type control deck that can really use the mana in some sort of way. But aside of that, we're probably looking at a deck like most decks, like TNT here. Sure, you untap your 4 lands, but then you're probably already left with 1 card at best, and your opponent's probably not discarding anything too important consistently.
Well, I
We
think
do
at
see
the
hope here.
oof.
I think this is just gonna be lethal here. I haven't counted,
That's
and I won't
usually
lie, I
how
didn't
Hoof
care to count
works.
either. This should be lethal. It's what it is: 11, 15 plus 9. That's 24. Yeah, doing some rough calculations, I'm pretty sure Crucified is
I think that's
very dead.
about 15 extra damage. I think that this is in excess of 30 damage coming I Sleep Crucified's way. Hashtag just
Oh yeah, I
things.
completely forgot the burst was untapped. That's an additional 4 damage. Yeah, I think that's like 29, 30-ish damage.
Like the Hoof also
Like,
gets to attack.
yeah, it's like on the board, ignoring the hoof trigger, that's already 15 points. And then
Yeah.
you get +4
But
and
the Hoof
everything. So
trigger
that's
is
the
another
additional 12 points.
12.
Yeah, that's 27. I think that's plenty. And yeah, we do see Crucifieds just scooping up there.
Yep.
Moving to the second game. Should we have them just start a second game just to be
I
sure
told them
here?
to feel free to do that. If they do, then they
Absolutely.
do.
Yeah, and it
if
seems
they
like they
don't,
will quit.
then they don't. I can't force them.
So we have to see here what we have. Bit of some weird camera things here.
I guess technically I could force them, but I'm not gonna. I will update this current screen though while we figure this out.
This is what I'm saying. If you ignore the fact that we have a nice pod and such, in the end we're just having a matchup of here where we have these white creatures that like dry munition, solid 2/1, the exiling instants and sorceries, great effect, especially against decks that actually care about instants and sorceries in the graveyard, which is not green. Also, what I think green is pretty good at is going just a tad bit above in creature size, which means that 2 mana 2/1 you play on turn 2 is not
Just a
beating that
tad bit above,
2 mana
please.
3/3. Yeah.
Just a tad
Still,
bit above, he says, after
Yeah.
after us seeing a 6-drop into an 8-drop and an attack for
funny thing
28
is-
damage or whatever that
the
was.
funny thing is that that's kind of the thing that White often does against an aggro deck, like Red. Like you'll just play your free drop as like a 3/4, and then like, oh god, I can't bolt that. And now this is like the exact same, and they go like, haha, 4/4. I'm like, oh god, I can't block that. I need to find my removal spells, my 5 removal spells. Oh god. Now I'm not sure exactly which and how many, especially if we're running black in this list. That might mean we have some more solid removal spells. That the thing about white is, sure,
I
it
wouldn't.
has some of the best creature removal spells, but it also has few really good removal spells.
I don't see any black removal spells in the entire list. Okay, that's not true.
Oh, interesting.
So the removal spells that are in this list are Source of Plowshare's Path to Exile, Blood Chief's Thirst,
Oh,
and then Council's Judgment, and Vindicate. That's it.
that's it.
That's
Wow,
it.
there's some choices I didn't, that I would have expected to see in here that I didn't, and some of my specifically
So-
one I wouldn't actually in Blood Chiefs First. That is a card
It
I've been
feels like
seeing
you'd
more and more
rather
than I
have Fatal
expected.
Push, right? That's just...
Yeah, Fatal Push I definitely would have expected. Another one I would have expected is Unexpected Journey, actually. I believe it's called Unexpected
unexpectedly absent.
Unexpectedly Absent, that's the one. I
Okay,
actually think that's a
Unexpected Journey
really
also.
underrated card. We can get that up on the card reader right there. That is definitely a card that warrants some discussion. Pretty usual card in our, especially on mono white hands. I is happy.
I will just
Often is-
put the most relevant cards that we see across those hands onto the the card reader and then move on with my life.
Unexpectedly Absent here, a really good answer for just about anything. Sure, it doesn't remove them permanently, which some people will complain about. But you know what? If you're playing a deck like D&T, getting rid of that permanent for a couple turns, that's enough usually. That means they have to cast it. It's a really good tempo removal spell. Like,
Also, maybe you do it in response to a fetch or in response to a tutor,
Exactly.
and then that permanent is gone forever.
it's very notably an instant. And yeah, if they have a fetch in play, even if you just put it on like second from the top, then they're like, but I kind of want to crack my fetch that I drew off the top this turn, but I don't want to get rid of my card at the top. Like, it's definitely an interesting choice here. Like you get them. Crucify choosing to go with turn 1 Mutavault instead of setting up double planes here.
Yeah, this
I'm not sure
Mutavault attack
the,
seems very aggressive to me.
Did they have the 2-drop in hand on turn 1? Were they able to play with that in mind? So I think
So-
that's. I'd rather just have that in play, personally.
Yeah, the question is, no, they did have the land. I don't
Even
know.
more interestingly, they didn't actually attack here, though. I imagine that was more of a mistake than anything.
Yeah, this was probably just a misclick.
Yeah,
the
you see
thing
Brahms
that,
here, developing
I
his
think
mana,
that the
finding
thing-
a crater hoof here from later on.
The thing that's interesting that I see here is that these flicker beams can be kind of a big deal. Because the moment that the flicker beam is marveled, it's gonna reset the Joraga Tree Speaker, which means that which is gonna help with stifling.
It's gonna definitely slow down Brahms' tempo.
Yeah, like basically the first turn that you use the Joraga Tree Speaker doesn't actually make mana because you have to pump 2 mana into it.
Yeah,
To
mana
level it
neutral.
up, and then it taps for 2, so it's kind of neutral in that way. And then the turn after, it makes 2 mana instead of that. But if you
So here's the
you
thing
can nug
interesting,
it
like
with a flicker,
Bailite
based,
mentioned. We're talking about like mana here in the form of Joraga Tree Spear, and mana denial by Plague Wisp. There's another piece of mana denial here that's pretty notable in Crucify's hand, and that's Armageddon. We do have some blinking. I'm not sure if you know why it's blinking from Crucify's there.
I don't. It's in the source.
But yeah, the Armageddon is 4 mana, destroy all lands, pretty simple. If you played the format, you've seen the card before, presumably at some point if you played the format a bit. Really interesting here in this matchup because like if you get it out at a point where your opponent hasn't developed too much, I think you're gonna be really far ahead. That's typically how it works. But as Bailite points out, like this is a deck that by the point you cast your Armageddon, they probably have 1 or 2 really big threats in play at least.
But and also they can kind of naturally mitigate the existence of Armageddon because they have
Yeah,
mana
exactly. Like
hogs.
this tree speaker in play already. Like it's just saying, yeah, that's great. I'm just gonna add 2 mana. Different Shaman's gonna start eating those lands that are in the yard. Like
Yeah, which
suddenly,
by the way, this Death Shaman is never gonna run out of fuel because you just put 6 lands in the yards.
exactly. So we do see the choice here of getting the recruiter instead. I'm curious to see what we're fetching with it. I'm thinking Palace Jailer is a solid option here. It's a great way to deal with whatever's coming down here next
Boy,
turn.
Palace
Presumably.
Jailer is a thing.
There are other options as well. I'm not sure what we'll be seeing here. Might have some black options that I'm not thinking of immediately. They do have the
Walking
option to fetch a
Ballista could be a thing.
Ballista. I actually don't like Ballista in this matchup. Like, sure, it's fine at killing like one of the 1/2s here on board,
Oh
but like
boy, how do
that's
you like
it.
Mirror
It's
and
kind of outgoing.
Crusader?
That's hot. That is hot. So I think we're just gonna see like Noble and a 4-drop here, and then presumably at some point try and make some creature, say the Colossus here, so big, Berserk, go for it. That might even be like as soon as next turn, depending on like what the ball stake look like. It is 4 mana to double it, correct? So you can double
Correct.
it once and then play the Berserk. Plus you have the Noble to so that is actually upwards of 20 points of damage next turn if it goes through unblocked and is attacking by itself. That said,
Well,
Mirror Crusader in play probably doesn't allow it to block too much.
yeah.
But
Because
yeah,
it doesn't
we
have
see this thing in
trample.
here. It does not until you cast Berserk, no.
Yeah, alright. Alright. But Berserk does
So what I'm
that.
saying here is the next turn you swing it with the Chameleon. That makes it a 5/5. You activate it once. That makes it a 10/10. You play the Berserk. That makes it a, I believe, 20/10, correct? With Trample.
Yep.
That is, if they block with the Mirror Crusader, exactly lethal.
Berserk is a reasonable card.
Pretty sure it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It kills people.
Well, they're gonna
Indirectly.
get that.
It doesn't actually kill them, but it makes something kill them. Usually.
It's
We are gonna see the Palace Jailer here.
Yeah, the Palace Jailer is gonna take care of the nonsense.
That said, we're probably still gonna see like the Death Shaman keep swinging here. Get in for 2, get in for 2, get back that creature, set up something. Like you're gonna force them to at least double block here. Like that's the least. And even more likely, I think in the Ceratops here, giving the haste, swinging in with that for like 6, force them to jump with the recruiter.
I mean,
And just
whatever
continually
they
have threats on the
do,
board.
I don't think that they can. So if they
Have some
go Ceratops, attack with Ceratops, that forces them to top. Can they still attack with like the Deathrite Shaman if they go Ceratops? Attack with Ceratops?
Well, sure, but then you're attacking with a 1/2 Death Shaman, which against a Palace Jailer, not my preferred option.
No, I'm trying to figure out if there is an attack that
think
allows them to
I
attack
just
with
want to
the
like
3
play a
creatures.
Ceratops, probably give it haste unless you really want to play as Preacher Titanium now.
Yeah.
Which honestly, not a bad option considering you have Hoof in hand.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out if there was a way for Brahms to attack with 3 creatures this turn, because then he would be able to get the Monarchy, but that doesn't seem to be the case.
Yeah, I don't think that's worth it though. I mean, yeah, you can. Probably.
Now, this Flicker Wisp is absolutely
You
disgusting.
can, if you really want to attack with your normal Hierarch, I guess you can attack with 3, but like, please do not attack with your normal Hierarch here.
This Flicker Wisp is absolutely disgusting with Palace Jailer.
Sure is.
When Palace Jailer leaves the battlefield, fun fact, you do not get your creature back. It just is gone.
So I'm gonna be honest here. I would actually prefer to just see if my math isn't incorrect here. Oh, you can give it trample. Never mind. I like this better. I was gonna say I would just like to see the priestess come down here and set up a Crater Hoof for next turn. I believe that would have been enough mana. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, that'd been more than enough mana to both Crater Hoof and Berserk next turn. I think that would have been a perfectly reasonable line. Lodestone Golem, interesting choice. The card you see specifically in these medium decks because it's easy to cast off Soul Ring,
Yep.
Tomb we saw earlier, instead of like these triple green, double green cards that don't have 2 colorless somewhere. Yeah, but we choose to go, yeah, no, I'm the monarch now. And put
Yeah.
Crucified under even more pressure.
Yeah,
To
losing the
find something.
monarchy is,
Yeah.
I think,
I'm
kind of
I'm
lights
trying to
out.
think how Crucified doesn't die here. I think the only option actually is Flicker with Blink the Palace Jailer and block the Chameleon once, get rid of the Chameleon once more. They don't know that. They don't know they are playing around the Berserk. They can probably
Yeah.
just think, oh, I'm
Yeah,
just gonna
I think if you
fucking do it.
don't know about the Berserk, you would rather flicker away the Ceratops, right? Because the Ceratops can, you know that it can gain trample.
Yeah, but
You
it's not as
don't
that.
know
I
that the
think even
Chameleon
more
will be able to
importantly, I
gain
just want to get
trample.
down my Mirror Crusader here. Yeah, sure, I might take a couple of trample damage if they attack, but like that's the price I'm willing to pay. I think getting down the Mirror Crusader here is what you have to go for, and I'm also quite sure, counting the toughness here, 3, 4, 5, and 6. In fact, that is guaranteed lethal unless Brahms is gonna think, oh god, I have to play around. I don't know, Simmons, Spirit Guide, Elvish Spirit Guide, Manamorphose, Removal Spell.
Your
I don't
opponent
know, that
having Force of Will blue card in hand, even though they have shown you
possibly.
0 blue cards during that match.
Exactly. So if you make some assumptions, say, okay, my opponent's clearly on white black DNT, or at least white DNT, because I haven't seen any real black cards besides like now Scrubland, I suppose. Then you probably make this safe assumption and say, yeah, they don't have any zero mana interaction. I swing with the Colossus here. I double his power. I just kill.
Oh yeah, he just mega dies, which is like, twice
There's,
the
there's a
amount
chance.
of.
There, no, it looks like we might just miss it here. Like, no, like, don't get me wrong, this probably still wins. It's still 16 points of damage. You can still get the Ceradon trample here. I guess
Yeah,
technically it is like more damage this way, but it's not nearly as cool. Which, in the end, way more important. I'm curious, how much mana do we have here? 4, 7 mana. Could we have played a mana neutral Nissa
I
just to
count
be true?
6.
Actually, yeah, we could have used
No,
Nissa as a sort of ritual here, almost. No, not quite. Yeah, we're gonna just see. We're just gonna see absolute terror here in a. Like if we see Crucified, he'd be like, "Oh, he's
What is
pondering
this?
it. Why is he
What if
pondering
this
it?
creature with 4 power in
Oh no!"
actuality had 16 power?
Well, that wouldn't be too much of a difference. But what if it had 16 power and trample? You're dead.
Seems these.
That's the answer. That's the answer to this equation. This complex equation. It is you are dead.
It is that
This
16
is
minus
this is
1 is
this is
greater
once
than
again. This is what
11.
I'm
That is
saying.
the complex equation.
Green here, proving itself just to make bigger creatures than this pod deck can really deal with. Sorry, this Texas deck. It's weird to call it a pod deck, really, considering it. Sure, it's running pod, but pod isn't really the main focus, if you know what I mean. Like, it's a deck that has pod, but you know what? We also don't call it a plains deck, which, considering plains is more predominant, would perhaps be fair in a way, if that's the line of thought. Of course, it's a great way to insinuate that, well, I am actually running a pod, which isn't exactly usual.
Is that the last match in the round? It is.
It is indeed. That's already round 1. I'm just going to go through the standings here after the first round. We have Bailite 2-0 over Stompy. Brahms, we just saw go 2-0 over Crucified here. Necro going 2-0 over Sparks. Evios 2-1 against Kelvin. And Wolfgang 2-1 against Kinesthetics.
Let's publish el pairings. They have been published. Alright, so what do we have here? That's cool.
And we have been reminded by our good friend Santi, who has actually contacted us, that we were dumb. We were forgetful. He couldn't
We
actually
do
make it today. We
sometimes do
already
that.
knew.
That is
Yeah.
something
Admittedly,
that...
it's a long time ago, and it's not like we were like very clear about it prior.
What do you want
So-
to watch? We have Brahms versus Evios for the medium green spectacular, or Wolfgang versus Bailite, which is probably better.
I'm actually thinking if we're fine with showing off some of the people who currently aren't that highly rated, because making the assumption that a lot of the people who are currently want to know are the ones we will probably be seeing in the top 4. I think I would actually like to feature someone we didn't see
Sure.
winning,
You
and
want to
once again, I'd like to
watch?
feature someone. I like to feature someone that isn't currently
All right, we
been.
can take a look at Necro versus Calvin. I don't know if
Yeah,
Necro
that
has
was actually one of
cameras.
the ones I was going to suggest. I don't think Necro has cam though, so we could also go for kinesthetics and Stompy.
Let's do Stompy
I'm
versus
thinking,
Kinesthetics. Sure.
let's do that. So, Stompy, if they're on the list they have been on for the last a couple of weeks, I think we had them. We haven't had them too much, but we had them a couple times. Have been on like a 4-colored like blacklist control. That's just kind of, I think it's been referred to as the Fire FIRE control deck. Not because it's playing oops all burn spells, kind of fire, but more because fire design. It's a deck playing Uro. It's a deck playing the new what do you call it? The 4-mana elemental legendary. What's it called again?
Oh, what's his name? Yeah, Omnath.
Omnath, yeah. Playing Omnath, playing, just all of those cards that people just love from standard and the new sets. Oko, all these beloved cards that people have not had any disdain towards at all.
Yeah, in no way, absolutely.
And definitely not just a powerful pile of just solid spells. And a bit of a lands theme admittedly as well. Not like a hard lands theme. We're not talking like we're going full exploration and dredging cards back from the yard and strip mine looking people and such. Not that level, but we do have like, if I remember correctly, we do have a not a fire card, Field of the Dead. Once again, more fire design, just showing off what it can do.
What does fire design refer to? Like, I think it's an acronym, right?
I don't actually remember. Let me just research that in the background. Let us see here. It is F for fun, I for inviting, R for replayable, and E for exciting. Good old buzzwords. Am I right?
Good old buzzwords.
And
Mm.
God is Oko not just fun, inviting, replayable, and exciting. That's exactly what I think when I look at Oko. I just think, oh god, that card is. I had so much fun, and I want to have my opponents cast it all the time.
I think
And
at
I love
Oko,
whenever they cast it. And
I think
it's
it,
very exciting overall.
I think that Oko is a fun card for the person who casts it. You get to have a
I
bunch
mean,
of
even
mana
that's kind
and
of
then
flexible
eventually a
depending on your
6/6.
style.
Both of those things I'm a big fan of.
Yeah, so we're just quickly getting. We do have one camera getting set up. We're looking for. Do you have Stompy on ready as well? I believe.
No, I'm waiting for Stompy to go somewhere. They're still in the booth. And then we can pick up their hand. And then we can show a game of Magic the
So while we're
Gathering.
waiting, do we know what our good old friend Kinesthetics is actually on here?
Do we know? Yes. Do I know at this exact moment and am I ready to tell you? No, but I can find out very quickly.
That'd be great. This is one of
Uh,
those awkward things of like only one of us has access to it for practical reasons.
yeah.
Just
I
something we have to figure a solution out for at some point, whether that just be sharing an account or whatever.
So I think that what's gonna happen eventually, because MTG Mail, the website that we use for this stuff, is still
Ooh.
kind of in development, right? Like I think that what's gonna happen
Okay,
eventually.
someone called man, because we have a mono black suicide acro deck here, which is Noman's is the type of player who will play anything and has played anything probably, if it's possible to make it in this format. But as in his own words, the deck he spent the most time tuning and playing, more of like Suicide Aggro. His little pet deck. And as we said, on the top, fire design control with some lands. That is entertaining. That is Golos, Oko in hand, literally. But yeah, we do see just turn 1, kinesthetics, Dark Ritual, slam down 3 1-drops. Next turn, we're going to see Lotus Petal, Swamp. Do you have an answer for my 7/6?
I
Yeehaw.
want to give a shout out to whoever is the madman, who is the madman that had the MTGO sounds still on.
Ooh, hot.
I'm also gonna ask kinesthetics to.
Absolutely. This is one of those things you kind of forget if you don't, especially if you don't play on stream. You don't think, oh, I might overlap with my cards in a way that will annoy people. I'll make it unclear. But yeah, no, that's just a casual, just, attack for like, what? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on turn 2. Without playing any haste and then slamming a 7/6. I'm trying to figure out, is this actually lethal if there's nothing from Stomp here of note? Which there will be a no-go.
What is the card in
That's
hand for kinesthetics?
That's actually lethal on board if it wasn't for like an ochre in hand. Which card?
The card in kinesthetics, and can you make up
That
what it is?
is something Night Market. It is a 1/1 that drains for 1 when it enters the battlefield. I'm not sure on its exact name, but it's from Kaladesh block, and it's a 1/1 that. No, actually,
no,
don't think it's when it enters the battlefield. It's when it taps.
attacks.
Sorry, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, no taps. Specifically taps, so that it
Right,
works when you
for
crew
vehicles.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, if that was a land, oh boy. Put your opponent at 1. Just good old acro things. I'm looking at Stumpy's hand here. I'm just thinking, turn it with us, probably too slow. Mr. Confluence, probably too slow. Spellsnare had a really tough time countering all these non-2-drops. Ooh, we're killing the Oko? I'm actually a big fan of just going face here. Like just saying, you're at 4 buddy. Have something. I think it was 4 or 3, not completely sure, I'll admit. Might have miscalculated somewhere. But either way, it's not gonna matter. We do see Stompage is scooping that one up. Moving to game 2, hoping to find something that's a tad bit better against such an all-in deck as kinesthetics. Like, that is what we see. These Suicide or Black Acro decks are like very yeehaw. They're like, yeah, they play Demonic Consultation just to find the right card. Yeah, I might cast it and die. Or I might have a 1-mana tutor. I'll take it. I might exile the vast majority of my deck, or all of it. Who knows? It's a risk I'll take.
Shoutouts to Paints here.
Yeah, depending on how wild kinesthetics want to go here, and I'm not experienced with this deck, I'm not going to tell them how to play it. But I could see turn 1 Demonic Consultation, and if they play Black Lotus, which I expect them to do, get that immediately.
Turn 2 play your entire hand.
No, play my 1 and 2 drop immediately, and then on turn 3 cast my War Gear. That does have the downside of that you don't have a turn 2 drop.
You do, however,
So
also have
I think.
Pretty nice 1, 2, 3 punch already in Night Market local.
Absolutely, and then you have your consultation here to find something if you ever need it.
Yeah. Like, you don't need to have the consultation.
Yeah. Problem with this matchup is that, like, Stompy is, like, you don't, as kinesthetic, you don't quite know what your opponent's on. You saw literally 2 triumphs, a basic land, and, like, Oko. That was like
countering the Paints here?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm going to try and win with Titania. I want to make it to turn fucking 5.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that the counter spell is a very general answer, whereas, like, you might find a bolt, right? But, like, I am. I encountering
Currently,
anything
you
that I
don't
get
have any
offered
other
here.
answers. Like, if you had other answers, sure, go ahead and use those first. But you do not. I think you just want to like answer this, and next turn you have opt plus a draw plus even gosh if you really want to go that deep, which I don't expect you to do, to just try and find something. I think gosh is a weird inclusion in Stompy's deck here. Like, do you really want to? You don't ever want to really pay 5 to cast gosh.
It's
And
real good with
frankly,
Mystic Sanctuary.
if you're, it is real good with Mystic Sanctuary. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying if you're the deck that wants to play Titania, I don't want to be playing gosh. I don't know, like Gush is the kind of card I'm like I feel like I want to really be like topping off of Gush, like going turn 1, turn 2. Like I want to be playing low curve, and Stompy's not playing low curve. Sure, they're playing 1 and 2 mana counter spells. I love them.
We see the Gash getting pitched to Fawn here.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Like
Ooh, Bolt's a
that
good
War
pickup.
Gear is going to do a ton of damage. Bolt, solid. Probably just gonna wait here, untap, see what's coming down before you react here. And if we do see the discard spell, then that's probably just gonna be a bolt in response.
Yeah, bolt in response. That
Inquisition,
means
you know,
these Inquisition fizzles even.
I'm curious. Do you Inquisition or do you what do you do here? Which like card do you want to like respond with here?
I would have started with Inquisition, I believe. But I think it's what is the third card in hand?
Which one? From which side?
I got it. It's Graveyard Marshal.
Ah, yes. In fact, that is a black 3/2 for 2 and a black. You exile a creature card from your graveyard to make a 2/2 zombie token. Tapped, perhaps? I don't actually know.
No, it's just an idiot. It's not tapped.
So what are we getting with the demonic consultation here? What are we looking for here? Kinesthetics. I'm curious. What are you looking for here? You want something that can end the game. I don't know why we got snuff out. I guess it gets like, yeah, sure, it kills Titania.
Yeah, I
But
mean, you
once you
know that
kill
they have a
Titania,
Titania
well,
in
Titania's
hand.
not coming down apparently because there's no green souls.
Yes, there is. There's a Bayou.
Well, there's no second green souls. Pardon, no new green souls. And you want 2 green sources to cast your Titanias. Not 1.
This is the moment that I learned that it's triggering green. I thought it was for green.
Really? You thought it was for the green?
Yeah.
Wow. God. Scary.
Is that a Monomorphos?
No,
no,
it
it's
is
Fire
a
Spout.
what is it? Fire Spout. Yeah, that's the one. I haven't seen that card in ages.
How many rats do you want that you're going solo to play Fire Spout?
Yeah, I'm very curious about the choice of sweeper there.
So I suppose. So the thing that you can do is that I guess this only needs 1 red mana. All of the other brats need 4.
Well,
Me
not
too.
all of them, but at least all of the ones that deal 3 damage on 3.
The 3 damage ones,
Pretty
yeah.
much.
So
Yeah, like you can play Pyroclasm. I guess there's the one that costs 1 red, 1 white. The
oh
one of the newer set.
yes, Clarion something.
Clarion something, yeah. Yeah.
Deafening
Brahms here
Clarion.
pointing out. In fact, it is in fact the 1 red it only requires. Pretty good point. I'm still not sure I'm sold on that. I think I would rather be playing like 4 mana sweepers most of the time. Or like Pyroclasms, in
4
my
is a lot.
opinion. Yeah.
No.
Definitely
So
Clarion, definitely the one I'd be playing over that one for sure, though. I think the white mana isn't that big of a price. Though I do think it's a valuable point to say.
So there is a question of
1
what are your
red,
core
that's too much.
your core colors, right? Because for example, if your
Yeah.
deck is like core bug with some white and some red, then maybe the correct way to handle it is to play something like
Well, we're not even playing black in Stompy's deck, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that Bayou is actually probably just there.
just for
because it's
just for
another
death
trigger.
rate.
Yeah, if they're even playing Death Run, that is. But I imagine more so like also the fact that it's just a unique land. But I don't think you need that in 4 colors really. I'm actually curious, like what black cards are on the list, if any.
I will
Yeah, and we
give you
see
the
the
answer to
response
that.
here. Just don't allow any creatures to come into play. Don't allow them to have a 5/3. So give them the land and then just start trying to beat down. which means this is probably going to be a 2-mana burn spell in our hand. Unless we want to get greedy here.
This is incredible. The deck name that they gave that Stompy gave his list is Zoomer Pile.
I mean, that's pretty fair. That is actually pretty fair.
So you need black to activate Golos. So that's a reason to have black mana in your deck.
True, that is a really good reason. A bit curious why that isn't a. Do they have
Oh,
not Volcanic Island? Do
you
they
know what
have
else? You know
Underground
what
Sea as
the
well?
you know what other brass only need 1 peeps they have? They have Radiant Flames.
Radiant. Ooh, yeah, Radiant Flames I actually quite like in this deck.
Yeah.
Again, over the other options. Sure,
Yeah,
sometimes you
because
might cast it if only two, but you know what? If you're playing this deck, you should have at least 3 different colors of mana by turn 3. And if you don't, dear God, what went wrong?
yeah, deck is kind of designed to make sure that
Yeah, we're just finding
basically
more
all
lands
of your
here,
lands
Stumpy.
tap for as many colors of mana
And
as
that's just going to be
possible.
game. That's lethal on board. Tying, bringing it up here to 2 and 0, I think.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
So let's see, what matches do we have going here in the background? Let us just quickly update. Currently we have, I don't think any matches have actually finished. I think this is the first match to be done. So what do you want to look at? Should we take the Kelvin and Necro as we were discussing earlier
Sure, let's do it.
and feature them? Do we want to set up can cams or should we just leave it blank for this one?
I'm gonna see if I can set it up with
So I
Calvin,
believe that
and
Necro doesn't have cams available at the very
we'll see
least.
if Necro is
I
still on
also
the no
don't know
cams
where
thing.
either of them are currently.
Well, that's not what I
So
expected from Necro. There appears to be a
no, I
Snowhover.
expected them to be sitting and chatting, but it might just be that Kelvin doesn't feel like it. Who knows? But let's try and find a match first, and then focus on getting the cameras ready secondarily.
Yes, for sure.
So we have the game here. Interesting. Looks like we have a sort of blue-greens. I was gonna say snow. I'm not sure exactly what pile this is from Necro, but they're seemingly doing something new here.
I'll check.
Because they're
Fine.
usually on some fairly budget lists. We have seen them on budget goblins the last couple weeks. I believe last 3 weeks actually, specifically. Following 2 of them, free wanting I think one of them as well, or something. Maybe it was 2 and 2. I can't remember precisely. Kelvin here seems to be on a like white-red token deck, playing like Servo, Exhibition, Dragon Fodder, Intangible Virtue. Yeah, that makes it pretty clear this is a sort of white-red go wide token stack. Very specifically, not something we see often actually. Specifically, I don't think I've
The
actually seen this type of this
fucking
before.
mad lady. She brought Turbofog. Again!
You know what? I'm not surprised in the least bit. I'm actually surprised that she has a Botanical Sanctum. I'm not sure how expensive that is. Because again, Necro usually on the budget list. But this might be her borrowing perhaps from someone else. Who knows? Oh, that might be. Was that a. I think that was a game actually there. So we might have to find another match immediately after. So that makes for a
Still
quick
changing
ending
stuff.
to that match. Let's see. You just pick a match and we take that one at this point. I think we have the
I think
Sparks
we
Crucified
only have
and the
Brahms
Brahms
versus
Evious
Evious.
match left.
I think
No, I
that's
think
the
Sparks Crucified should still be going. Like at least it has not been reported yet. If it hasn't,
But it wasn't in
that's
the
on them to
lobby.
do that.
I didn't see it.
They're still sitting in the voice channel, so that's on them at least.
They
to do so.
they might have just finished. It wasn't in the lobby either way.
Oh, and it seems like Brahms, hearing what we said, just immediately jumped into the voice chat. That made it quite easy. Oh, Azine, we joined them. Yeah, we do have this monogreen mirror. If I remember correctly, I think Evius. I'm not sure if Evius is also very like is full on medium green, or if they're just
Evious
like
is on medium green as
just
well, yeah.
green mid range. So
Well,
do they like what is Evius's point spread? So I guess is what I'm trying to say here. If we remember.
okay. You will
I
need to
imagine it's
give
also
me a
just like
second,
fairly
and then I will let you know. But let me.
Absolutely. We just see the copter crude here. It makes a lot of sense. Get in here, maybe lose some creatures in the graveyard, set up a bigger and bigger Phoenix Artisan here. Phoenix Artisan, by the way, really interesting choice. It allows you to get a lot of like cards, specific cards out of your deck, and have a continually growing creature, but it's a slow choice in a deck like this. So if you're going for a very beatdown approach, that's not the kind of card you usually want in this type of deck. But it does have the flexibility once again. Looks like we're gonna get a 2-drop here. Not sure what we are specifically looking for here. Maybe just some mana. For Rex Revoker here, are we gonna name Soul Ring? I believe that can actually name mana abilities if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
Of
it cannot
non-land.
name lands, but it can name
Yeah, so we can still name
non-land
Soul Ring.
cards.
That is actually a
So,
really cool play there from EOS. I quite like that. And currently we're actually ahead on the race. Yeah, we go to 16, but then we can keep racing with this copter here. And currently, Brahms with only 1 green source, having to probably just play the birds here. Unless they
also,
want to like trade vaults.
I also would like to mention that the score on screen is correct. Brahms is up game.
Okay, that's good to know. Now I'm curious here, if you're in Brahms position here, if your opponent activates Treetop Village, do you actually wasteland it or do you just leave it alone?
You went to all the troubles of oh. No, you probably need the wasteland to tap for mana, right?
Yeah, because you currently only have like 3 mana without it, which means you can't cast that front. You can cast a Phoenix. The Blossoming Defense not that great right now. Questing Beach coming. Questing Beach. Classical card. Questing Beach coming down here. Just putting a lot of pressure on. That does mean we don't have to make the decision on that right now, at least. Swing in for 7 here. I do quite like trading here. Like, we're not racing. We have to play the slow and steady game here. Probably hope to win with our own Fiend Artisan somehow.
I will say that if Questing Beach was a card, that would be pretty dope. I would be in favor.
Be an interesting land. What mana does a beach add? Is that like
It's
a mono
it's blue.
blue?
Yeah, it's
Is it just blue or is it like blue something?
no, it's just blue.
It's just blue. Fair
Mm.
enough.
Well,
So it's
like a
probably something like
number of blue hearts name like something shore, right?
true, but shore and beach not quite the same in my opinion. But
I
you
think
know
a
what?
beach is
I'll
a
agree
type
with you.
of shore.
Is it? Is it? It might be.
Like,
Goes
isn't
my
a
browser.
shore any? Isn't a shore just anything that's like the limit between water and land?
The land along the edge of a sea, lake, or other lake. Yep, you're right. You're right. But even then, you can have a specific type of shore that might be more specifically appropriate for like a combination. Like if it's like a volcanic shore, that might be blue and red.
Yeah, we know that Dark Slick Shore is blue black, right?
Exactly.
We have that.
So questing a color nature? Probably not.
No, I don't think.
We see
Questing.
the
I think any color
our,
can quest.
yeah, we do. Speaking of questing, we see questing beasts come down from Brahms this time around after having traded for the opponent's questing beast. We now play our own and propose a trade for the Fiend Artisan here.
Evios is on Mox Emerald, the Mana Crypt, and then an off-color Mox.
Evius here declining the trade here, choosing to prioritize his own Fiend Artisan here. Curious to see what are we gonna see here. We're probably gonna see the Copter once again, just for the next good while here.
Oh, we have Evios'
Right,
hand.
that's the Mox Emerald. Do you want to fetch that away or do you want to loot into it? I think that depends on what you have in hand. We're gonna loot here. We're gonna fetch. We can't admittedly play the land because we already played a land for turn now, so that is not an option with the current courser. Looking at the hand, we have Primal Might, we have Oof. Oof, not that relevant, actually quite bad right now. Most likely it's going to come down at some point and just get sacrificed as Fiend Artisan for some versatility, I'd imagine. Primal Might could give +1/+1 and eat this Questing Beast if it wasn't for the fact that Questing Beast, had Death Touch. So that's a bit awkward. So I'm curious here. I presume you just swing with the culture, discard probably the oof here, and then like in next turn, you can just, depending on what the board state looks like, you can just we're gonna actually see are we gonna kill the birds here perhaps? We are in fact. I do like this play. You're removing a green source. You've seen that for the last couple of many turns, your opponents have been lacking green sources. They just had like a wasteland and a Mutavault just sitting untapped, doing nothing. I don't think it would be unreasonable to attack with the Fiend Artisan here and the Revoker. Like, they have to block the Revoker here with at least the Mutavault. I suppose that would give them some mana back. So maybe not doing that is wise.
I'm gonna be right back.
Absolutely. We see the Wasteland here, take out the Treat of Fetish, which is a threat that does punish them for some damage through. Makes sense. You're gonna have you're on the back wheel here. You want to be taking care of all their threats, but no, it's gonna end up being a win for Evios this one. Gonna have to wait for the next one to if we can even move on to the next one for a moment. But yeah, Evios just continually being ahead there. Brahms' Ogre mana base lagging. This is the price of like playing medium green, is that you're kind of playing a 2-color deck as you're playing as you usually see in medium red, medium green, medium anything really. You also often play these colorless Drasi from Zendikar. No, I can't remember. Zendikar. Battle for Zendikar block. Where we had the colorless. I guess it wasn't Battle for Zendikar, but the one following it where we had the colorless ones. But you also see these colorless Eldrazi, Fought Not Seer, those kind of cards. These type of decks, as they're really good alongside all these Soul Ring effects, adding 2 colorless, which is kind of what the deck in some amount bases itself on. Brahms here doing a 6 card here with 2 5-drops, some lands, a god, and a once upon a time, perhaps able to find something of note. Can't quite see what EUs is completely working with there. We see Forest, Wasteland Muta, not the best mana base. Also a Once Upon a Time there. A Ceradon and what's it called again? We just had it last game and I can't. Fiend Artisan, and then I'm not sure if they're already gone. They haven't gone down to 6, so they're lacking 1 card that we can't see currently due to the setup of the screen. Bottoming the guard here, yeah, probably going for some fast 5-drop with this. Once Upon a Time. Gonna have to see what they find. Oh, there's some marks. Oh, okay, that makes Eva's hand a lot better. Because that's a turn 1 Fiend into either a turn 2 Waste or similar.
I have returned.
To say pretty decent. Yeah, could you kindly move Eva's hand in some way so we can see the entirety of it?
No.
It's what happens when they keep moving their hand around, and it's definitely not annoying.
It's what happens when you keep popping the graveyard on and off.
Yeah,
That's what's causing it. Sorry for leaving. I had to take a bit of a bio break there, but
I actually didn't like
briefly
Brahms
abscond
Brahms
after
chose to keep a
these
6 card with 2 5-drops in this matchup. 3 lands and a whatchamacallit, Once Upon a Time. I feel like that's too greedy. Yeah, we find a Scavenging Ooze here. But that just feels a tad. Oh god, this is a triple Mox hand.
It's a lot of
God.
mocks.
Oh boy.
We see Mana George
Sweating.
dropping by.
We're already gonna see a Ceradon next turn, or like Fiend Artisan Wasteland, depending on what Brahms goes ahead and plays here. I hope Brahms is fun enough just to play the snow-covered forest here. Yep, seems so. So we're gonna see a 5/4 coming down here, presumably from Evios. Get the Mutavault already on board. Start having the ability to Wasteland if need be.
And kind
Like,
of
this is just an
going
insane curve.
if I can, I'm going Fiend Artisan. I kind of want to have
Interesting.
2
Why?
spells, so I kind of would like to go Fiend Artisan plus the Idiot, so that
The problem is
my
you can't. Oh yeah, you can do that because you have the Mox Jet specifically. True.
yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Actually, I would have
Which I
preferred
think
the.
is the reason why the Mox Chat is
I
played
actually kind of like
over.
playing the Forge Up here. Sure, you don't add as much mana next turn with having the now Noble in play here, but I think just the flexibility of having an additional card is pretty valuable. Sorry, using the mana now cleanly. Like you don't have too many cards. You don't have too much to spend the mana on. I guess you can spend it on Fiend Artisan, but
And
that's
we are
not going to be
done
relevant
here.
next turn in all likelihood.
Good job, Evius, overcoming the one
Yeah.
or the game 1 loss.
Yep, that is a 2-1 for Evius then. So that should be a last
I
match? Question mark.
believe that is everybody. Yeah.
No, I don't think Sparks and Crucified is actually finished. It seems like they are still going for a bit more.
They aren't in this. Oh no. Oh.
Yeah, double Mox is double Mox, Kelvin. That's something that will do it to you. That's one of the things that we do have happen in this format at times. People just having some pretty powerful opening hands with multiple pointed cards, especially if they're playing many. Nothing as powerful as just seeing the Black Lotus into some other pointed card. I have had playing mono red my Black Lotus Mox hand at one point. Pretty disgusting. So we see here we have Crucified, and who do we have on the bottom? I believe that is actually Sparks.
That is Sparks.
Sparks,
Yeah.
before the tournament, was actually talking about this list, so I actually kind of know what he's on. It's on like this Maju mid-range deck, playing Armageddon, playing Black Tutors, apparently, like Vampiric Tutor here. Not personally too big on that. I don't feel like Vampiric Tutor is the kind of card you want to run in this type of deck, in my opinion. But I'm not sure. I haven't run it before. I don't know what it is exactly he's running. But it's definitely an interesting build. Up against this D&T list, white black D&Ts that happens to go greedy and play a pod. Despite not having, I'm not gonna say they don't have any green sources. They might have like a Savannah or something in there somewhere, but not really in primarily green deck. So let's see here. Walking Ballista turn 1. That is a pretty lackluster turn 2 play from Crucify. You really want to have something more relevant, especially if your opponent goes turn 2 Mindstone. You really want to be like, you're expecting to see some powerful turn 4 or 5 play at this point, especially with a Vampiric Tutor alongside it. Like, there's no way nothing's like big's coming down now. There should just be something happening. And just having a Walking Ballista is kind of awkward here. You want something like a Thalia, perhaps? Like, what is Walking Ballista doing? It's not killing any 1-drop. It's not killing anything with 1-drop this next turn, presumably. Not against a Mindstone deck. So the only reason I can see playing this Ballista here is the fact that you don't actually have anything else to play on turn 2, which is a bit of an awkward hand, but this might have been a mulligan Crucified. We didn't completely get to see that. We just jump in a bit in the game.
Yeah, I am setting up hands.
Absolutely.
We did.
We do have Sparks hand there. Johnny, yep, makes a lot of sense. As a way to remove lands, that's what they're going for with the Oops All Armageddon strats. Also a Planeswalker, so it's a really good card to have post Armageddon or post Wildfire if they're playing that as well. Call Against Command, just a solid black-red card. You see it in a lot of like black-red mid-range or tempo lists. So like Grixis especially is a common place to see that played. You can get back a lot of value creatures. You can deal with artifacts if you need to, deal with small creatures, or just kind of rip a card out of your opponent's hand. It's like almost always got at least 2 modes that are relevant, if not 3, and on the rare occasion even 4 that you can choose between in some
What was
combination.
Crucified on again? Sorry. Oh
They were
yeah,
on
he
the
was.
D&D deck. The white black DNT deck possibly
Right. I remember it now.
splashing the pod. So here's the thing. I'm not sure what was compared to the foe. I'm gonna assume it was the Mind Stone here, which I think was a bad decision. Because the problem is you currently can't cast your Johnny. You can cast your Kolgan's Command, but like, cool. You kill their Walking Ballista or whatever they play. And then you're just sitting there hoping to draw either something of note to cast. Like, this, I get that Sparks was probably on the mulligan, but this Vampire Tutor just, I don't know what you were looking for. Like, what? I guess it might even have gotten a land depending on like exactly what Sparks' hand looks like, because this feels like a really awkward mulligan. That's what this tells me, in my opinion. This is a mana rock, and this is probably what we're gonna see get cast. Yep, and that gives us access to red mana. So now we can actually cast that Johnny following up here. Ooh, Crucified, also with a pretty bad hand. A bunch of threes and fours, but only 2 lands. This
Okay,
does exactly explain. Once again, like,
is
did both of them mulligan
Mothra
like
good
really
enough?
far? Because these bad hands.
Is
Like, I'm not sure
Mothra good
exactly how
enough
much
for
they
this
go.
deck?
This is what? Sorry.
Mothra, Luminous Broodmoth.
Yeah, that is a very interesting card in Mono White D&T, because like usually, if you ask me, that's like too slow of a 4-drop often. We do see a 1-drop here, sorry, a land here, allowing both Brahms and Splicer to come down now. Now, Splicer here probably gonna have his token killed at some point, but it's Kogan's command, and then probably itself or something else is gonna get sapped for 2. That, or we could just gonna see a Johnny come down here and tap like a land down. Probably what that is, and then the Johnny just kind of dies and on tap. Believe. Could we get a Johnny Vengeance up here on the card reader
We can.
real quick? Lovely stuff. Yeah, we're just getting info in here. Pretty expected. Sparse, another mana rock here. Yeah, we can't even like. These are some really awkward mana rocks. I'm not sure exactly how many mana rocks or which mana rocks they play, but I feel like you at least want to be playing the talismans, the ones you can, the full like cycle.
Is it time for me to just look at
I
the
feel
deck
like these
list?
diamonds, like this is the problem with playing like diamonds, is that you play them and then they just don't have mana. They're like really slow. I mean, signets are better. I'd say almost all the time. Technically,
He's
not all of it.
playing all the on-color signets already.
Yeah, I'd say all of the signets, all on color talismans.
I
Mind
do not
Stone.
see the white-black talisman, actually. Maybe I'm just
Would you
blind.
see the other two at least? The white red and the black red?
Yes. Both Talisman of Conviction and Talisman of Indulgence are in. And then beyond that, he's on Chromatic Lantern, Charcoal Diamond, Fire Diamond, Marble Diamond, Mind Stone, Hedron Archive, Chrome Mox,
Hedron Archive.
Guardian
Yeah,
Idol.
Moxes. Makes sense. Yeah, no, I agree. Bailite saying that perhaps you should play the what is he called? Can't remember his name now. The king here, Cat King.
Oh,
He starts
Brima's
generating
King of Warriors.
immediately. Brimas, yeah. Brimas at least has like the advantage of like he starts generating cards immediately. Whereas Splicer, you play it, yeah, you're free, done. End of deal. Like that's it. I do like this goal against command here. Getting rid of 2 pretty relevant creatures here. Leaving them with only a pair of ones. Now we're actually in a position where I quite like just playing a Johnny and just making this playing some untap. Like it's not a great position to be in. Like we're still behind, and these ones are gonna like slowly chomp away at our Johnny. But we're in a board position suddenly where at least we can get our Johnny down in a not too threatening position. Oh, Blood Moon, no, no. Oh god, that is not a great card in this matchup. Yeah, sure.
That does
They do
not
have some
sound
amount
like
of
it.
non-basics. but I think it's gonna be a bigger pain for you than it is for your opponent. Yeah, we're just gonna see a Johnny here. I'm curious to see, do you think they -3 it here? Or do they just +1?
So if
What
you
do you expect?
-3, you know it. The thing is that if you +1 it, you still probably can't -3 next turn because
No.
your opponent's creatures will stop
But in
you
a way, I
there.
think you can make the argument, oh, I do not like this decision. I think if you're tapping one of these two, you're probably tapping either land, I think, or tapping a Blaze Blazer. I guess this is the line of thought that, yeah, I could play around them pumping it to a 2/2. Sure. Problem with that is that they didn't play anything really noteworthy for the first many turns. I expect them to have 3 and 4 drops bigger in hand that they haven't been able to like play on turn 1 or 2 really. Yeah, we're just gonna see like I presume Mothra coming down here. I think I'm just have a person who's green not to play Mothra here. But I can also see you just playing the Rest Angel, getting the immediately free if that's the route you want to go down. Both are pretty fair. So what something that Crucified has to be careful of here though is the fact that they are low on time. They did have the chance to start a new game before this, but
Yeah, these are both
they didn't.
relatively new players to the tournament, so I wonder if they just didn't know.
Correct.
Which would be awkward.
I might be worth to remind them that next time this happens, they could just start a new round if they feel like it.
We also
Do
wasted some
that.
amount of Isleep Crucified's time by starting.
We did in
also.
fact, yes. So that is on us as well. But I don't think it would like the worst case. You are allowed to say no. I don't have time for that. I have to focus on the match.
I
That is a perfectly
do
reasonable response as well.
love that Blood Moon makes some of Isleep Crucified send into mountains so that the Sundering Titan in their hand can destroy
we don't
them.
really care about the Shepherd Dunes too much getting changed. Like, sure, they might activate it. I think the biggest deal about the Shepherd Dunes becoming master is that if they do play like the colors activation cost, then it becomes relevant. But really, double planes, you can probably play cast most of the cards here. It's really just the Mishra's Factory getting turned off here. That's the big deal. Yeah, now we're presenting 7 damage on board, 4 of it likely going towards the Johnny. Then we're probably playing Mothra and just killing a Johnny, swinging for free. Just really making the opponent miserable here.
To be fair,
with this like 8 mana Sundering Titan and a mana rock in hand.
It is worth
With 4
mentioning
mana
that
playing.
it does mean that if you do get to Hazard Sundering Titan, your opponent having a mountain means that you no longer have to destroy your own mountain because Sundering Titan will destroy your own lands too.
This is true. However, you're still gonna lose your swamp. That we sadly have no cure for. But either way, I don't think this is a game that's gonna make it to Sundering Titan levels unless something drastically changes here.
Yeah, I think that Sparks might be headed for
I think even with what little time Crucified has left here, I think it's going to be more than plenty to play a couple of creatures, get in for some attacks. Unless Sparks finds like Sweeper 2 here, then I think it's going to be game over. So do we see the Ajani get killed here? It's a question. Yeah, thank God. Because either way, if you don't, that's just eating up your Splicer token, gaining free life, negating most of what you did. Either way.
There's Mothra.
Yeah, Mothra makes sense. That's the most pressure you can play. Actually, no, Brahms does actually attack for more, which is honestly a valid argument for casting that instead. Like, you haven't seen your opponent play removal spells since the Coligans command. Like, they just kind of played a Blood Moon, like, on this board. If my opponent plays Blood Moon here, I'm just presuming they don't have much. That said, Luminous Broodmoth, still the safe play here. If you really want to go, just in case. How much damage do we have on board? We have 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, we have lethal here. That is going to be game actually next turn. Even without activating the Ballista before attacking, this should be lethal. You can literally attack, sack the ballista. That should be exactsies. But if you double up, if you get a counter before, that's just too overlethal. If you really want to go all
You
in.
can also pump ballista or pump
Yeah.
main socket.
So this
That's
should do it. That should be a scoop, or just taking the damage here, playing it out, hoping they might miss lethal somehow.
They misclick through their turn.
Possible, yeah. Notably, Luminous Brewbuff does actually bring back the Walking Ballista with a flying counter once it dies. Not worth that much, admittedly.
But very funny.
Yeah, and if you have like some sort of like aristocrat deck, hey, you get another trigger. Congratulations. That's why you're playing Morpher in that deck. But no, we're just gonna see attack here. I wonder if we're gonna see the counter here. Or we're just gonna see the safe 11 damage here and then put him at 1. Yeah, just put him at 1, probably put a counter on, and then once the counter's on, shoot for 1, see what happens. Please don't sacrifice it immediately. You could get gotten somehow.
No, but also what if they have sudden shock? Then you have to sacrifice it immediately.
Oof. In case my opponent's playing Sudden Shock here. Okay, we make the mistake of not really playing it safe here. Like, especially with how little time you have left. Don't just get gotten by like some random damage prevention or like. I mean, they don't have a White Souls currently due to the Blood Moon, but still, I don't feel like that's worth risking.
Isn't that a marble diamond? No,
No, I
that's
don't
a
think it was a
Mind
Marble
Stone.
Diamond. There was a black and a red adding one, I believe, and they were tapped either ways.
Yeah, no, that was a Mind Stone. Sorry, it was colorless.
Yeah.
Isn't even black.
So that should actually be our last round. I think we featured like literally 4 out of 5 matches this time around.
Yeah, we had we kind of picked them in a kind of a
round
descending
1.
length order. So let's go.
Yeah, so let's get ready. Once we have the last game set up here and reported in, we're ready
Yeah.
to get pairings going.
I'm absolutely not just hitting the refresh button. Oh, actually, since it's the end of round 2, it's actually a good
I was going to ask, can't
opportunity.
you actually report as well? I'm curious.
I
Or
could
you weren't able
actually,
to?
yeah, I could probably do that.
That's going
Edit
to save some
result.
time. Like,
Game 1 went to, I guess, Cooper Livingstone, isleepcrucified, Isleep. We got isleepcrucified 2-1, I think, right?
correct. Crucified did go 2-1.
Yes, let's go. So
let us see here.
before we start the next round, just really quickly, I just want to remind everybody what we were saying at the beginning of the match, which we are the 10th point. We are a Canadian Highlander tournament series. For those that don't know what Canadian Highlander is, it's probably one of the sweetest. Actually, it is one of the sweetest constructed format that exists. Period. It is 100 card singleton with a points list instead of a band list. So you kind of end up in this position where all of your decks are busted, but not too busted, because maybe you can play Black Lotus, but you don't get to also play a Demonic Tutor in the same deck, because that will put you over points. The format is incredible, and that is why we do what we do, which is organize weekly tournaments. We are going to put up a next event, a link to our next event momentarily, and that is going to allow you to sign up. It's not, we don't have the page up yet, but we're going to very quickly. Also, we managed to bring the streams to you every week, partly thanks to your kind support. If you want to subscribe to our channel, we would incredibly appreciate it. It helps us keep the lights on. It helps us offer prizes at the end of the season, and a number of things that make the tournaments better. Especially if you have a Prime Gaming sub, that should definitely go to somebody. If it's us, we are honored, but if it's not us, give it to somebody that gives you that entertains you, gives you a that entertains you because it's literally free money. You're leaving value on the table, and we know how Magic players are in terms of leaving value on the table. No, take your value. It's value. With that said, that's better on 3.
Absolutely. Let's get some pairings. So let's see. Who do you have at the 2-0 table currently? Because I think we've featured every player currently due to last round's nature.
That would be Evios versus Bailite.
Well, I say featured. Some of them were like for 5 seconds, admittedly.
We have not seen
still.
Bailite at all, actually.
No, that's true. We have not seen Bailite, so that makes it an actually really easy decision for who to watch this round. Using Bailite, it seems makes a lot of sense. Just looking at who else we have and what rankings. If we look at the standings up here, we actually have a ton of 1-on-1s currently. So Evius Bailite, one of those is definitely guaranteed for the top 4. Probably also the other one due to the nature of I'll admit I'm not an expert on tiebreakers, but I have a good feeling that 2-0 into a loss is better than 1-1 into a win. Is that correct?
That would be accurate, yes.
Yeah.
That's
And that leaves us
usually.
That leaves us with 6 1-on-1s currently. That's actually quite a lot. Who all are going to be fighting for 2 of the 3 probable slots in the top 4. And currently leading the pack, we have in tiebreakers, we have Kelvin, Brahms, and WolfgangCloud being the top 3 in that respect. But we'll have to see who triumphs and who, well, I guess doesn't.
I was trying to find the opposite of triumphs as well, and I'm like,
Yeah, I have.
well,
Is there an antonym of triumph?
who
Triumph
perishes, maybe?
Perishes? Yeah, I suppose that could work. That could work. Guess fails, falls, loses.
Yeah, fails
Gets
also
defeated.
seems.
Yeah, fails. I kind of like loses or fails. None of them really have the power that triumph does, but like inverse.
Falls.
Like triumph is like the hope and despair, but there's no real despair. It's just kind of like sadness, loss,
Who triumphs and
failure.
who's trounced. Then you get a little bit of an alliteration there.
Triumphs. That's a pretty good dual spell right there. We see Evius actually is on the bottom here. You have to switch the cameras. Sorry.
Well, I hate everything.
Yeah, but we do see Bailite mulliganing here. I'm not sure exactly what Evius has in hand completely. We see green zones. We see a 5-mana Vivian, Elf, Forest, which are also going to be the turn 1 plays. A Hydra, I can't remember the name of, but it's a 0-1 Trampler that either you double the counters or you make it
Voracious
a
Hydra, I believe.
something. Yeah. No, man, just gonna go tap land into probably a turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic, but we could also see the Carlo come down here. Interesting card in Loma's list, in Bailite's list that he's been, I think, for most of this season been rocking. Maybe also last season, I can't remember. Just a 2-mana 2/2 on its own, but if you gain life, he gains 2+1/1 counters. So kind of a like really amped up Johnny's Primate. And to go even further than that, if you play a white and a black and remove, I believe, 6+1/1 counters from him, you even get to exile a creature. Which is pretty good, like, if you really want to remove that once you have your 8/8 in play, you know. Who doesn't want to, like, turn the 8 into 2/2 to get rid of, like, a random creature?
Well, you know.
I mean, sometimes you kind of have to. Like, they have a flyer you just can't deal with. Like, there are situations. It's
Or,
not like
I
it's
mean, it's
always.
also any permanent,
You want
right?
it.
Like, so maybe you're like, yeah, I'm gonna kill their Great Henge or whatever.
No, it's only creature.
Oh, it is only creature? Well, then no, F that.
Certain it is only creature. So yeah, it's like a very like situational thing. It's like if you really have to kind of thing. But that said, it's still just it's kind of like a Tarmogoyf for like life gain. Like,
Yeah.
sure, you usually think of Primate like that, but this is Primate on steroids. Like, he went to the afterlife for this, for fuck's sake. We do just see a attack for 1. No, we don't even see attack for 1 here. I'm confused here. So we played the Sylvan Caryatid, but our Druid is... What am I missing here? We seem to have taken... How did Evios... Why is that? Why? What? Sylvan
What? I
Caryatid is
don't
2
understand
mana.
what you're asking me.
We paid 2 mana for the Sylvan Caryatid, but we have 3 tap permanents. Fair enough, we could attack with our Elves of Deep Shadow, but Beta was only at full on 20, so you shouldn't have taken any damage. Not sure why. Did we like fetch something tapped? Did I what did I miss? I missed something. That's for sure.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we just get a Battle Skull. I'd like that. Release that option if you just want a big threat.
Stoneforge activates an ability of Bloodstain Mire.
Oh boy. I think we're just gonna see something pretty big here. That's a lot of mana. That's 7 mana. We might see like a
Because
full on. If depending on how yeehaw Evers feels like going, we might just like see like a full on like 10-11 trampler here.
I have your answer for you on why the 3 mana were tapped.
Yeah.
The card wasn't cast from hand, it was Green Sun Zenith into play.
It was Green Sun Zenith. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. I forgot about the Green Sun. That's why. No, we just take the safe choice here and play the Vivian. I like that. Because like literally just about any removal spell in Bailite Stake will just punish you for playing a 10-11 fatal push. The Mythos of Necroy. I can't remember what it's called. It's basically
Necro is
Vindicate on
correct.
steroids. Nailed it. I'm a bloody genius. Definitely haven't been having trouble with card names this match at all. No, we're just gonna see the Planeswalker dealt with here. It makes a lot of sense. Next turn, I'd imagine we just see like play like a 2-drop, slam down the Battle Skull. I think it's a pretty likely line of play here. So the question is, do we find something? What do we remember what was on top actually from previous here? Boar
You want to know
Reaver.
what's on top of your
Not
Ulysses
the
library?
most interesting card here. I think yeah, we're just gonna see this huge ass Hydra here. It seems like we're only going for an 8-9, choosing to not take the 1 damage here from our elf for the additional 2/2. Could also go for the fight here and
Yeah,
find
he decides
slow
to
this
eat
Battle
the
Skull
idiot.
down. I just don't think that's worth it.
Well, you know, a Batter Skull in play is gonna be also.
Yeah, but like a Battle Skull is not that great against you know.
No, but Bailite,
Oh, I missed.
you can't.
Oh,
You
actually,
know that
it does.
Bailite
It
has.
did end up top the last one.
You know that Bailite stack is like, you know, has like 30 removal spells in it. You
Yeah,
kind of
like,
have to assume
absolutely.
that
And I
they
think
have
it's
it.
perfectly reasonable to play around the removal if that's your line of thought. And yeah, you are slowing down at least the Battle Skull, making it a bit more awkward to get down on the board here. I was gonna say that yeah, the hand camera from Bailite was gone there for a second. Clearly, we did see the tap of the elf here, just going full on 5/6, just full stats. I think that's correct. I don't think that 1 of point on health is really gonna be that big a deal, especially with how slow Bailite's hand is turning out to be currently. I'm curious, do we see a tap land here? Yeah, we do, and we see Nissa come down here. So that is gonna be probably attacking in for good old 8 points of damage here next turn. Presumably no blocking. So we have Spore Reaver. What else do we have here off the top? Just a land, maybe? Ooh. See, this is what you do once the medium green just has a ton of mana. It just casts some big fucking boys. Or I guess snakes, in this case, of different types. Both of the Hydra variant and of the Construct variant.
Fun fact about the
Yes.
card Stonecoat Serpent. It is
Yep.
not a serpent.
No, I'm not talking creature types here, Because you know what isn't a snake either? The Hydra isn't.
Oh no.
Hydras are very close to snakes.
Stone Cold Serpent is a snake, but it is not a
Oh,
serpent.
it is a snake. No, I never said serpent.
It's fine. We see Hevius dropping a huge steaming coil onto the battlefield.
Yep. Yeah, we're just gonna see lands here. Battle Skull, yeah, makes a lot of sense. You're far behind. You have to try and gain some life back here. But I imagine it's gonna be too slow. Eos at this point is pretty sure that's not gonna be a removal spell. Which is why they choose to just play the full stat here. It's also a lot better against the Battle Skull, which you do know is there for sure. Do we actually have lethal here? It is 12 points of trampling damage, 3 points of vigilance damage. If we attack with trample damage, that's actually one off lethal if you block with both creatures from Bailite. No, it's not because there's a lifelink. So I guess it's
Yeah,
but you probably still double block like the Hydra either way.
Yeah, I'm double blocking the Hydra, I think. If I'm Bailite.
Do you attack with a beast here? So attacking with everything, you can eat the beast and like not chump block. That puts you at 11. That puts you dead. Then you have to chump block if you want to eat the beast, and at that point you might as well just trade with the Hydra.
Yeah, I'm
so
trading the
I
Hydra.
think the question is, does Evius attack with the beast here, the beast token? Like you attack with the other two. I don't think that's a question. Ooh, we see an attack with everything here. Is that actually lethal no matter what?
I don't think so. I think at the line of double blocking the Hydra still works. It's 7, 10, 11. No, that is still lethal.
Yeah, so when they take 1, that's 6. Because there's no way you're not blocking the 1/1 here. You're probably also taking all the damage from the stone.
No, I think you have to double chomp the serpent. That's how you
gain 4 from the Battle Skull. Yeah, I think to survive, you actually have to chomp the Hydra and block the beast token.
Oh, the Hydra has trampled, so that doesn't work. You have to just absorb. Oh yeah, and you chomp the
Well, you
beast.
gain more life than you. No, you're right. No, it gains 4. I think you go to 1 by blocking, like I said. Anything else kills you.
No, so you would block. You would put both in front of the serpent, and that would have put you to 1. But you actually gain a little bit more life if you chomp the beast, which doesn't have trample. And
because double blocking the serpent sadly actually leaves you at X-axis.
No, double blocking the serpent would put
that's just gonna do it.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So I'm curious if you're an Idols, if you choose which player you'd be in this matchup, which side would you prefer to be on here?
I think I would give it to Abzan. I think that strikes me as a more like you're talking basically a mid-range deck against the bigger mid-range deck, and I like the bigger mid-range deck in those scenarios.
Well, firstly, I'm just gonna start out saying this. I don't think I would. I guess it technically is a mid-range deck, but it's not a mid-range deck in the I'm playing Blood Braid Elf kind of. I'm playing Liana, that kind of like slowly.
But it is a mid-range deck in terms of.
It's mid-range in the I'm playing Fred on the solid curve. So it's kind of it's a beat down type of mid-range, not a control type of mid-range, as opposed to say Bailite deck, which is a very very controlling mid-range type of deck.
Yeah, but that's kind of my point.
Even to the degree where you can even make a solid argument that it's actually more of a control than the mid-range deck. I'm not thinking it was quite that far.
I think
but
that
it's verging.
Let me put it this way. In general, in Magic, you want to be either a little slower than your opponent or a lot faster than your opponent in order to have the advantage. So the question is Evios' deck faster enough than Bailite's deck? Is Evios' deck... Can you please try to finish what I'm trying to say? Is Evios' deck...
It sounds like you're done. I'm pretty sorry.
Is Evios' deck faster enough than Bailite's deck to actually have the advantage? And I think the answer is no. That is kind of what I'm saying basically here. Is that I believe that Evios' deck is not full on aggro enough, and Bailite's deck is not full on control enough that it swings back in the other direction.
Oh, agreed. I do think I think this is actually a really close match either way. Because if Bailite has a very good answerable hand and he just draws his grindy side, draws his planeswalkers and such, I'm not sure how many planeswalkers and silver libraries Evis's version is running compared to like say Brahms, which is runs a good bit. I think we've seen a couple in some games with Evis last week, especially. I think they can grind quite well. That said, like Bailite is the kind of list that outside of like counter spells, he can deal with just anything, pretty much. Like the saga is the only place he can't really interact. He can next other cards from the yard with Scooses and such. He can kill just about any permanent, including lands. Like he has very versatile removal and answers. Problem is he also and he also has a lot of sort of stat lines, but he can also just get if there's too many threats compared to how much and how many answers he has, or they come out too quickly, like we might see here. That can be tough. If in so in Evi's slot here, what is your what are you trying to curve out like here? Like
So
what 5 are you playing here? What are you going for next turn?
So I'm a big fan of trying. So the thing is that I don't think that the Hydra is an actual card out of the Hydras in their hand. I think that the card might as well not be there. What I would like to do is try to play it last
Also,
because like, so here's the thing. I think that playing the Hydra is the only card in Bailite's in Evius's hand that does not generate any type of effect the turn it comes into play. So what I would like to do is to play the Hydra last, because then you hope that Bailite has maybe exhausted his other removal spells by the time that
and
your
then
Hydra
they can
comes
just throw on his
down.
own.
In
Yeah, that's a perfectly reasonable line of play.
Yeah, in the
And I
way.
think another line of thought is that if you expect your opponent to not play any remove spells next turn, you can just go like Hydra this turn, don't attack at all. Next turn, Gear Hold, all the counters on the Stone Coil, swing in with both. I just have 2 huge jazz creatures with trample swinging in.
But the Stone
Definitely risk your
Coil,
opponents not having any answers.
is just gonna trade for the Gaunty here.
Yeah, absolutely. Like this is going to be the case no matter what how you block.
Yeah. So given
So here we
that, I
see
don't know
question
that I
of
agree putting all the counters on it. Like, I think you want to diversify your threats.
yeah. So you essentially just ask the question: what is most important, your 2 creatures here or your planeswalker? And Bailite chose Vivian is more important.
Yeah, I mean,
For me.
the 3/3 is replaceable, right? Vivian just gonna
Yeah,
keep making more.
So this does make the Hydra noticeably worse. It's still a great card. It's still gonna just snowball out eventually if it gets to survive and swing at time once or twice. Don't get me wrong, it's fine by itself. But it's definitely a lot better if you have other things that just happen to be doubled alongside it. Like I think there's a perfectly reasonable argument just for only putting, like, I think you want your Serpent there to be exactly a 7/7, specifically because that kills with 1 block, and that allows you to have a 5/5 trampler afterwards. Either way, I don't think the fact that Vivian is a free crit. I guess you cannot make the argument that Vivian is free means you can minus and find something if you cast something. That's an option. So getting her down to 2 plays around that. Around to minus and activate and still stay around.
But I don't think the Vivian minus is not necessarily that impactful, TBH. Like, I think
No,
I'd
I
rather
agree. I agree.
Vivian keep being on Beast's duty.
Yeah. So we see a tutor here to shuffle Bailite's library and get this Nizzy land that they then find off the top. Makes sense. You want a lot of mana here. Like Bailite just wants to continually hit Lysandra. That's why you see cards like the Nizzy here as well. This is a great way to play creatures consistently. Oh, Questing Beast can't really get cast once you don't have the double green anymore, due to the card you just cast. So I imagine we're just gonna see the Nizzy here. You could keep up the removal spell for next turn, but that just feels too proactive. Sorry, reactive. I just I like getting this down here. Questing Beast isn't that important right now. It's a 4/4 Death Toucher that can keep in some beats, sure. I'm not sure it's that important though. Not sure if you disagree. But yeah, we're just seeing Bailite establishing his board here. We should probably make it 0-1 to Evius on the score there, by the way.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea. Sorry. I am making the event page for next week, which is why I'm a little distracted right now.
Makes sense. So you see the shifting Ceratops coming down here, choosing to swing in with both creatures. I like that. Instead of playing the Tamagotchi here. I do like that. I do like the fact that this forces some pressure on the Vivian here, so that even if we see a double block on the Gearhulk here, that still means the Vivian is dead. Only way to keep Vivian alive is double jumping here. I don't think that's worth it. Yeah, we do see the trade here. Vivian is going to go down. 2 for 1 on the trade here. Lose to Vivian, but you know, that's how it is. Next turn, though, however, we do have Ewit if we want to get it back. So it's not like it's the end of the world. So the library, so we have 5, 6, 7 mana here. Have a couple options here. We could probably go Battleskull Silver Library. Pretty solid. It deals with this shifting Ferrotops on the board. It blocks just about anything on the board. And it's just a great card to have in play.
Pretty good.
I quite like that. That's a very efficient use of our mana. We could also cast the Ewit here, possibly. I don't think we're going to see that. But if we do, I think we're probably going to see either Gonti off of it, or I think Diamond Skull, depending if there's something specific I'm not thinking of here. Might also be that we see the Vivian, like the Vivian was protected quite hard. It's quite... Oh, the Vivian is actually exiled? Or what? Did I miss how it got exiled? Oh, no, wait, no, that was a card stolen from, that makes a lot of sense. It was a card stolen from Evius, of course, with the Gonti.
Oh, it was not Evius. It was not Bailite's Vivian at all.
Yeah, I actually wouldn't be completely surprised if Bailite played Vivian. I think it makes sense that he doesn't. 5 mana's a lot in his, even in his deck, especially
I
in his
think
deck actually.
part of the problem is also that
creatures aren't nearly as many.
Part of the problem is also that he is not as set up to take advantage of the static ability that Vivian has, because his deck probably doesn't have that many creatures.
So looking at of the hit of Gonti here, we see Hexdrinker and we see Once Upon a Time as the two only real options. You don't want the lands here. I don't believe you can play lands with Gonti, am I correct?
No, I don't think so.
I believe he says cast specifically, due to the fact that you can use any mana.
Yeah, it says cast. You cannot use lands.
Yeah. So we're probably just going to see the Hydra here. Just kind of probably after tagging, just because that way we might get them to trade with the Gonti. Like, if we play the Hydra, there's not a chance this Hydra, this Gonti is blocking our Ceratops. I'd imagine. Yeah, makes sense. Tag in, ask them, how do you want to trade? Do you even want to trade? Yeah, you do. You want to trade with a Gonti? Sure thing. So we have currently... Ooh, we want a double block here. Interesting. I'm not sure why you do that, because, like, Gonti has Death Touch. And, like, I'm not expecting anything out of Evius that might really punish you for that. Like, Combat Trick isn't doing it. Rule spells and instant speed, not really happening. So would it make more sense to play Lotus Copper there? Like, you still get the mana. I suppose you get to keep your Paradise Druid on tap for what it's worth. I don't think that's too important. Like, Bailite has bigger things to deal with than the 2/1 mana dork. So I guess the Lotus Copper isn't nearly as interesting as having a giant Tamagorth, especially like a 5/6. That is yet another big threat that deals with the board, or at least forces some answers here. Questing Beast back again after having been shuffled away. Decides to come back for a reunion tour. Just gonna deal with this Hydra here. Makes a lot of sense. That's the card that's just gonna snowball. Even if you have the Questing Beast now, you'd rather have the Questing Beast deal with the Tamagotchi and not take any trembling damage. Yeah,
The
Bailite
next...
solidly in the...
Just as service communication, the next event command is up for people that want to sign up. The event code is 5556, so to sign up, you can go to that page and do the thing.
Sorry, I thought you were done. My bad.
No, yeah, that's okay.
Bailite, yeah. I'm just looking at the board state here, and I'm not seeing a great chance of EVs coming back here now. Like, I just feel like Bailite has too many things. Battle Skull, a Hex Drinker that can start growing big. Get protection from everything eventually. Like, even Silver Library to just draw some more cards and go digging. Like, this looks real bad for EVs. Like, yeah, I guess we have the Fiend Artisan. We might be able to find something that way.
This Fiend Artisan has a lot
Like,
of work to do, though.
Yeah. What can we find with the Fiend Houses in here of note in the USS list that's left? We could find a hoof if that's in there, perhaps. But that's not really what we're looking for currently. This is 6/6, it should be noted.
Mm. So
But
what's
Zockley also a great way to
spicy that we have here?
I'm trying to think here, like, you probably just want some more big threats, but like, I'm trying to think if there's any specific big threats. And Evius seems to be questioning that as well. Like, what am I looking for here with this Fiend Houses?
God Eternal Ronas could do a thing.
God Eternal Ronas is interesting, but that sadly only gives us vigilance and double, so that means you're just gonna get jump block for the time being.
The Hydra is gone. Titania could be a way to grind some value that way.
Titania, definitely an interesting choice. I like that.
Thrawn could be a pain.
Definitely a way to go white. Maybe like Prime Time if that's in there somewhere.
Sure. I didn't see it.
I don't actually imagine. It is. I don't feel like Evius is playing that.
Yeah, no, he caps at 4. QuestDB is never bad.
He caps at 5. He does.
Yeah, caps at 5. Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant.
Yeah. So actually, a slightly less medium. Are we certain it's a medium green list? Because I don't think it's completely medium green. I might be wrong.
Well, there's an Oko in there, so it's technically not mono green, but I think that's pretty medium, right?
This is true. This is true.
It is an ancient tomb mana and stuff.
Has been flashed by people. Like, we're seeing green splashing blue for Oko. We're seeing Grixis splashing green for Oko. He's a menace. I'm just really curious to see what we get here, because we can definitely bond this Enclave. That's 4 mana. That leaves us with 4 mana left for the Fiend Artisan. That doesn't
only
really
get
feel
a
like
3.
It's anything. Yeah, we can get a 3. That's not really worth it.
At 3 mana, you can get Garruk's Harbinger. That just gets to eat the lifelink in Germ. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, and that does not feel great.
Oh, actually, not even. Because it doesn't have protection from black, just hexproof.
No, yeah, exactly. It's hexproof. It is the closest I'm gonna get to protection where I'm still kind of okay with it.
You could get
like,
Dronas. You could get the small Dronas for 3. That's pretty good. It's beefy.
Yeah, that's pretty reasonable actually. That's a pretty reasonable card. Like, it's not gonna stop this Life Drinker, but it is something that you can get here. So like,
you could get just Phyrexian Revoker onto the field.
You can get a 4 actually. I forgot you can get a 4 because you have the Lotus Scupper trigger. I forgot.
If you get a Phyrexian Revoker, that's a way to deal with the Hex Drinker, right?
Brahms mentioning that the only thing that are above 5 in his medium list is also Prime Time and yeah, the Greedy Hoof apparently. We can get a 4 here if we want to as well.
I think the best choice is actually just Phyrexian Revoker. Just revoke the Helldrifter.
Do you name Hex Drinker or Battle Skull? I think Hex Drinker is actually more threatening.
Yeah, you revoke the Hex Drinker.
Because that's a card that's just gonna like what? It's 8 mana, which currently Bailite. Why do I keep on calling low man? Bailite is currently 1 mana off, turning it to a 6/6, which you can't really interact with in most any way.
Yeah, you have
like,
to
how do you kill a Hex Drinker?
Oh, Wrath of God.
Make them sacrifice it?
No, Wrath of God.
Yeah, Wrath of God, and somehow making them sacrifice it. That's like the 2 real options.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to make too many assumptions about Eve's deck list, but I'm guessing he doesn't have either of those options available. So that leaves us with the option of raise it. which currently that's not looking like a great option. Not gonna lie. I think we're gonna see a 4 here, possibly. We had
Again.
1 green floating free. Yeah, that's a 4 if we go for it. Might also just get a free here.
Or Rexage.
I'm actually surprised that it's... Oh, Rexage, yeah, that's actually really good. Like, I do like that choice.
Can
And then maybe we have a...
Can
Then
he?
Rexage can go get something else next turn.
Yeah, the question is, can he already make the Hex Drinker into a 6/6 protection from everything, or
No, he's
will
1 mana
it-
off currently. That is 7
Okay.
mana only available, so it can't currently. I think we're just gonna probably see it get... I don't know, activated 3 times, and then probably see a free drop here, I'd imagine.
Yeah,
I think
like
that's a
the Knight
perfectly
or
reasonable line of
something.
play. But I could also just see 2 frees here, or like library, a free, and a couple devils. I think that's also perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, I
Just
guess
wait
you
a turn
could,
with the Hexbringer.
if you can't go all
Like,
the
would you
way.
trade the Hexbringer here for like the 2/2 ones?
Oh no,
I don't think you do.
no.
Like this card is just gonna win the game.
Yeah,
Like
you
attack
you
3
just
times,
wait until
1
it's a 6/6.
Yeah, you do attack with a beast token for sure, and
Oh,
there's no way to jump.
Questing
So that
Beast
actually,
could trade with Hex Drinker
yeah,
if they block the Hex
the
Drinker,
the
which is
the questing creature,
Yeah.
the free vigilance token. That's it. And yeah, sure you can't you. Oh, questing beast doesn't trade with Hexbringer.
if it gets
It doesn't
blocked
take
by the
damage.
Hex Drinker. It
No,
It does.
because the Hexbringer doesn't take any damage.
It does, because damage dealt by creatures you control can't be prevented. Questing Beast does have that line of text.
Oh, questing beast is a card.
Yeah, Questing
We
Beast that
didn't-
has all of the text, including protection, kinda doesn't work. It's the line of text that comes up the least about Questing Beast,
it's
but
like
when
the
it
one-
does,
it's the
oh
one-
boy.
It's the one line of questing beast you don't remember.
Yeah,
What,
exactly.
If there's one line, if there's one part of you forget, it's probably that part.
Yeah, because there's like 78 lines of text, so you know, the 76th,
Vigilance,
maybe
Depth,
you start
Haste,
getting a
not too
little
bad to
blurry about.
remember. We're pretty fine. Can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. We're okay for now. It can then damage a planeswalker if you hit the opponent.
Yeah, that's important.
Okay,
That's
we're
an
getting
important part of
complex.
the card.
And then stops damage from being prevented. Huh. Yeah, I do like this. Library, Knight. Knight actually only a 2/2. No lands in Bailite's graveyard. Interestingly enough.
It
Well,
is for.
We find the natural revoker.
Well, there you go.
There it is. There it is. Oh, I missed kind of somehow because that Hexbringer apparently, I guess the Hexbringer already had a counter on it.
Oh yeah, I did.
Oh, I think actually just making the Hexbringer a 6/6 would have been better than whatever line Bailite took here. Because they can find probably an answer with Fiend Artisan if you don't. I think just having the 6/6 in play is just that bit better than like Knight and Sylvan Library. Honestly speaking, yeah, it's mana inefficient. Whatever. It's not. It's very kill efficient, however. Like it's just saying you have to race me with that Fiend Artisan or whatever you have, and if you want to race me with your Fiend Artisan, well, that's a Fiend Artisan that's not getting any threats, and if you're getting threats with the Fiend Artisan, that's not attacking. Either way, I'm pretty happy.
So do
I
you
have a
revoke?
Hexbringer.
So if you go on Nissa, flip Nissa, revoke something, revoke the Hex Drinker.
Yeah, you revoke
How
the Hexbringer, no
big
question.
can you Fiend Artisan something? How big is the thing you can Fiend Artisan to?
I do believe. So you gain 1 mana here, so put you down 1/4 mana. Can Nissa
So
somehow gain us? Does Nissa put the land into play if you reveal a land? I don't remember.
yes, I believe so.
Yeah, so if you depending on if you +1 the Nissa or if you make the
Oh,
token here, you get either
Windswept
a
Heath.
3-drop at best.
So Windswept
That's
Heath is
pretty
an
good.
additional mana.
Yeah, that's a ton of mana. Now you get something. You can get literally anything actually, and
Yeah,
still
you can
play
get a
the
5-drop, which is the
Revoker,
biggest thing
because
you have.
yeah, I actually quite like just straight up tutoring for Titania here.
Yeah, then you
Get Sacred Sage, get Titania, then crack the Heath to cast the Revoker afterwards. I like that. I really
does
like that.
Titania put the land back onto the battlefield tapped?
It doesn't, I believe.
So couldn't you have sucked the Heath to put the Heath back? Oh, you have a Prismatic Feast in the graveyard, so you can put that bug
Yeah,
back.
like even then, I mean, I think it's fine. Like you can get.
Or a
Yeah,
Nurturing
we see
Peatland, which
the
is
second
even
play here. I
better.
like that.
This is so dumb.
It's pretty good. And I think we see like a huge punish here for Bailite for not actually turning that Hex Trigger into a 6/6 pro everything. Like this
Does
is gonna be like really awkward.
Bailite play
The game is
Tabernacle?
not over by any means, but Nurturing Peatland was actually also in the user's graveyard.
Yeah.
I really like. That's really sweet.
So
I think at
I
this
think
point the Lotus Corporate not that interesting.
if Bailite plays
Pretty optimistic,
Tabernacle, this knight can find a Tabernacle, which is going to constrict.
So what do we find with Sylvan here? Pearl Sword? Sword ain't bad. It's just not great when you don't have a basic creature. So not too relevant. Even though you can't actually equip it either because it's pro everything. On the no, because you equip it before it still gets unequipped. You probably just keep. I imagine you just keep like the land here and you fetch. Like I don't think maybe you keep the Mox Pearl. I don't think the sword does enough here on this board. I guess it gives pro like it's an answer to the Fiend Artisan is what it is really. That's it. And I think Fiend Artisan is as long as it doesn't have to do anything else, it'll be happy to just sit back and just improve upwards stay continually. So that's not a big deal.
The Nisa though
Trying to
now is also a
see.
problem for Baelite because
This
the
is a
Nisa
real problem. Like that and Bundles Enclave alongside the Fiend Artisan means that Evius is just gonna have a ton of ways to start generating card advantage here suddenly.
yeah.
Which not long ago wasn't really something that they had the time or stuff to do. Once again, I feel like this Hex Trigger, and I think that's gonna could end up meaning that Bailite actually loses here.
Well,
I think not turning that Hex Trigger into a 6/6
Baelite
might just
just
end up
needs to find the removal
deciding.
spell. So
Absolutely. But even then, this Revoker has given EOS a ton of time if that's the case.
that's true. That's true. That's
I'm trying to
definitely true.
think, is there anything really good we can get with this Knight? Like, what notable
Yeah,
cards do we
that's
have?
actually exactly what I was looking at. If there's like a Tabernacle, that could be potentially pretty impactful.
I don't think Tabernacle's actually that great.
There you go.
I'm pretty sure Bailite does not play Tabernacle.
Uh,
My first line of thought is like maybe like the white black Death Touch land. Wasteland is probably not that great right now.
Caracas, maybe.
Caracas
Maybe
is
could be
not
there.
that great either. You don't have anything you will blink. Literally the only Cradle if you really need that mana, which you really don't. Like sure, you can now play your sword and your scavenger and equip. Congratulations. I think the major reason actually to activate the hierarch here, not hierarch, the knight here is mostly just to get it actually a land in the yard, so that it starts growing immediately. You can do that on your opponent's turn, but like, yeah, this just allows you to curve out at the very least, and you're not blocking with it in the end. So what do we equip with the sword here? Maybe like the Beast Token, Eternal Witness. No, we equip the Hex Stringer to a 6/6. Yeah, actually that makes a lot of sense. That blocks the Titania and Elemental tokens quite well. I of course say that Emperor because yeah, we will see another one come into play now. There's a repeat line getting cracked. Garruk. Ooh. That's pretty good. +1 Nissa here. Just gonna find ones upon a time. Just a sort of way to just kind of dig for a bit here. Nothing too off the wall here. Nothing too insane.
Hmm.
Let us see here. Let us see here. What do? Question is, do we have like, with like giving? I was gonna say give the feet houses and trample, but the hex string, like the sword suddenly became really relevant with that Garruk. So it might just be like taking elemental to turn it into a 8/6 and swinging and just saying like, yeah, deal with this shit.
Which, to be fair, is not necessarily a bad outlook to have, like,
Nope, it is.
life.
I'm depending on like, so we activated in this already. That means we got the. I think we just want to play land. Like we have too many ways of generating card advantage here, and using a mana, especially with like Fiend houses in play. Plus, it generates a mana as soon as we want it due to the Close Cobra, which is still my #1 choice for a card that should probably become an even better creature at some point. I'm not sure what the quote-unquote even better creature is, but it should probably not be a 2/1 that adds a couple mana each turn. We have
Well,
lands. I don't
again,
like attacking with Fiend Artisan here. I don't like it. Because now
at
you're seeing the
some
Hex trigger
point,
and like a random 1/2/1 that's just block it.
at some
Why are you
point,
blocking with the free here? I think Ewid is more than sufficient. I guess you're playing around like a Blossoming Defense or something here.
Yeah. But again, at some point, the God Eternal Drone. Oh, I guess that the Fiend Artisan isn't the battlefield anymore, so that the whole reasoning is moot.
Wait, why did the Beast Token not die?
It was only assigned 1 damage.
Huh?
Wasn't the thing a 7/7?
I legit didn't know you could do that.
Do what?
I legit did not know that you could deal damage to Hector and then it just didn't get dealt. I thought you actually just couldn't assign damage to it. Huh.
Doesn't it? It only has protection from instants.
Once
You can
again, I'm not a
assign.
judge.
Oh, you mean because of protection?
Yeah, I
you
thought
will
you
assign
automatically
damage
just
to it
didn't
normally.
assign them. I
Basically,
thought you didn't assign damage.
the way that protection works is that you
just prevents the
assign
damage.
damage as though the creature didn't have protection, and then all of the damage that is being assigned to a creature that has protection from the thing that is assigning the damage gets prevented. Which is why the thing about questing
Protection is one of those rules where it has so much shit to it.
Yeah, I mean that's why they stopped doing cards with protection for a while.
Yeah, like hexproof from something is like fairly complicated, and protection is just like that on steroids.
Well, the thing is that protection is actually just 3 abilities in a overcoat.
It's can't be blocked. It's prevent damage, and it's
Can't be blocked,
shrapnel.
prevent damage, and things can't be attached to it.
Yeah, and things can't be touched, and it can't be targeted.
And it can't be targeted. So it's 4. It's 4 abilities.
4 effectively. There's probably something we've forgotten somewhere randomly, but yeah, pretty much 4, which is still a lot.
No, it's 4. There's an acronym for it.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, depth.
Yeah, so I'm curious. What do you think? What do you think we get with this Saint Pact here? If you're in Bailite shoes,
There is an Emrakul the Promised Land in his deck.
Emrakul, quite good. Yeah, that's a great way to just make your opponent just like throw away their entire board state.
Yeah,
And
hate
suddenly
life.
just eat an elemental, and then just go. Like it doesn't get rid of the like planeswalkers by itself, but it's a great way to just like go, yeah, it's a bye board state.
But it also gets rid of some of the.
We're just gonna have to wait. We're just gonna have to wait on Bailite just clicking through here, just numbing away his library.
Yeah.
For people
He-
who are unfamiliar with Canadian Highlander, by the way, Tainted Pact is a card. It's a 1 black for a black instant that exiles the top card of your library. You may then choose to put that card in your hand, and if you don't put it in your hand, you then exile another card. If that card has a different name, you can then continue. So as long as you don't hit 2 cards with the same name, you can just keep exiling and trying to find a new card instead to put it into your hand. So you're basically digging from the top down until you find something. Because in the case of Bailite's deck, he doesn't even play 2 of the same basic. He might play a forest and a snow-covered forest, but he's not going to play 2 forests. He's not going to play 2 snow-covered swarms. He's going to at most play 1 of each. Yeah, this is Bailite, the special Emrakul, the Promised End. Coming down here, I don't know how much it costs, but I think, just a guess, I think Bailite has enough mana.
Yeah. There you go. There's the Emrakul. So the Titania suicides against the Emrakul.
Yeah.
You trade some
So I imagine we're
elementals
going to see
away.
the Once Upon a Time cast at least at end of turn, so at least Bailite can't just cast it and fizzle.
Can just fail to find, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And
So the
likewise, I could also
Emrakul also gets to mop up the walkers, right? Like that's the other thing.
Yeah. I really just don't know why we threw away the kid things.
The Fiend Artisan.
Yeah, that feels weird. Also, good thing about Emrakul, it finishes the game real fucking quick with a opponent on
Oh
9
yeah.
life and flying protection.
Specifically exactly one
I
attack.
think the yeah, not with the Fractusk in hand though. So unless you find a way to stop Evius from casting his own Fractusk next turn, even with especially with a Evo in play, that's not gonna be quite enough.
Well,
So
you can
you
also
can get
make what you can do is make Evius throw away enough of his board. You can just attack
yeah,
with some other creature for the other points of
agreed.
damage.
But then Evius can still play Fractus, still play Evo. Like he has a lot of mana. He's 6, 7,
And
8,
like
9.
this Revoker is
Next
not
turn.
surviving this ordeal, so the
No, Revoker. Yeah, true.
the Hex
Yeah,
Drinker
actually,
will
yeah, you
have
probably.
protection from
Yeah,
everything.
there's not a chance. He can Evo back the Hex Drinker and then play the Fractusk. He has like 1 mana off from that, so any land should do it. If
I
that's his
would
game plan.
imagine that Bailite is gonna play the
Evo it.
Witness for no value,
Yeah, that makes
or for
sense.
minimal value.
I think that's the only card you actually play from that hand, and then you'd
Yeah.
probably plus. No, you don't even plus the Garrick. Oh yeah, I like attacking it with the Mutavault here. That's great. And then you walk in with you have 3 blockers that can at least eat up a 2/1, so attack with all of those at the very least. And I think you attack with a Titania as well. Do you attack with a 5/3 elemental to trade with the Death Gorger here? Seems so. It's a decision. I think that's wise.
Yeah, you can even just trade it.
Yeah.
You can attack with two
So
with Titania and the thing.
Beast, yeah, the Beast eats the Mutavolt. The Hexdrinker eats, I don't know, Titania. Emrakul eats like an elemental token. That leaves the Lotus Cobra and Revoker. We can we can actually trade 1 for 1 for 1 for 1. Literally trade our board for their board, except
Yeah,
we keep
just trade everything
the Beast,
except you
Hexdrinker,
know.
and the Emrakul, and of course the Knight here as well.
Nice board.
That's
Idiot.
pretty decent. Yeah, we just see. Did we just see Bailite just crack here real quick?
Also,
Yeah, I
it
think
is worth
Bailite's
mentioning.
Bailite's gonna have to really hurry up here under 1 minute here. Yeah, they probably.
I think he's fine. He just needs one more turn, and after that, he's done.
Eus just has to not find an answer for Hexdrinker or something like that. And even then, if it wasn't for the time, Bailite would win this for sure, pretty much, I think.
Yeah, I mean I think that was a mistake that he didn't cast it.
He didn't cast the Ewit. Oh no. That might actually cost him the game here.
Oh, he with the Revoker and then revoked the Planeswalker.
Oh. Okay, yeah, okay, I like that. I do like that.
Yeah, that is pretty awesome.
I literally thought this was Evius' next turn. So all he has to do, considering the board state, assuming Evius doesn't find something, is activate the Hex Drinker, make it a 6/6, and swing. That's it. Nothing else. No need to get
Yeah.
fancy. I think Evius just like you can't even plus in Nissa here, so that's one less card you get to see. So
But no,
yeah,
because
I'm not
he
even. Yeah,
Bailite
you take the
8.
2 damage here. No, you
Yeah,
what?
he
What do you
opted to
what?
eat,
What?
so
Why do
give
you
you an
block
extra.
here? Now you give him access to the Nissa? You give them like one more draw to find something? I don't get why you do that.
It ended up not mattering.
It didn't, but it could have. And then you just can you even say no to it? Just put back. No, don't care.
And oh, it has protected him from everything, so the sword fell off.
Yeah, true.
It
Sadly.
doesn't matter, but it's kind of
And now
funny.
it's just attack with everything. F6. Holy shit.
With the
Oh my
0
god.
sounds left on the clock. Holy moly.
Wow. Bailite. I have a feeling they're starting a new match. Do you think Bailite would prefer to start a new match? I'm just gonna I'm just gonna ask.
You thought they were
You
gonna do
think that
that?
you think he would like to play this match out? He doesn't even get to. We don't even get to see his hand before he's lost the game. Wow. Talk
That
about wow.
was
That was that's a thing.
incredible.
I will be right back. I just need a bathroom break.
Take your time. So here we're waiting for players to throw their hands. We're still kind of reeling from the previous. Okay, so let's see what we have here. Bailite has actually handled a faster hand than usual. He has a couple of early interaction pieces in Thoughtsism, Fatal Push, Gerard's Verdict to keep ducks in the opponent's hand. That has a couple 2-drops. So he didn't have enough lands there. So he opts to chuck the hand back. This hand, I don't believe, can make white mana. But it has okay amount. It has like a few idiots. He chooses to put down the Mythos of Nethroi. The Evios has a clamp, which is a good space to start, but it doesn't have a creature to put a clamp on, except we're scarily close. Actually, we're not close. The Calorian Hydra is just happening this turn. So, that's normal, Turn 2, I play a 5-drop, seems good. Eliminate is not going to take care of it. Neither is the other idiot. You kind of need to be able to have Vindicate for it. Yeah. So basically, Bailite is on a 1-turn clock to be able to find a white source. If he finds a white source, the game is still pretty bad for him, but at least it doesn't end on this spot. If he does find the white source, if he doesn't find the white source, the game just ends because the Highlander Hydra attacks and can't do anything about it. He did not find the white source, so this game is just over. That was a bit of a letdown after how the previous game ended, but congratulations to Evius. Sorry, congratulations to Evius for the victory there. That was a whole thing. It was certainly a whole thing. And now I muted myself, which I hadn't in the call. So let's see if there's anybody else still going. I don't think the answer is yes. Yeah, I think this is just everybody is done. these because that game took forever. So that brings us to the last to the top 4. Let's see if let's see who the top 4 contestants are, shall we? Well, I'll wait for them to report, but after that, we'll go to the top 4. I think that the way that this is gonna work out.
Whee!
Oh, hey, you're
Hello.
back. Hi. So Evios, the game 3 ended
Yeah, I heard it
real
was a quick
quick
one. Like I have a
because
wireless
Evios
headset.
cast a Colonian Hydra on turn 2,
Oh.
and yeah, and then
And then definitely lost the game. Yeah, I
and
see.
then Bailite mega died.
How to count to 20? Attack for 8. Attack for 16.
Yeah,
Game over.
that's enough. Turns out that's more than enough.
Hydra repeat. Hydra just do that sometimes. Hydra
Yeah,
just do that.
just like we were wondering what was the reasoning of putting the Hydra in the deck, and that is the
So
reason.
that was actually the last game of this match. That's correct, right?
That was the last match of this round.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that leaves us with once that's in actually some standings for the current
That
and
it
last round.
does. So Evios wins 2-1. I'm just gonna put in the results for them because I am bored of waiting. So let's see what the next. Let's go to the next phase and see who we have, shall we?
Well, we should see who actually made it to the to T4. I think.
It
Correct
is
me if
Evios at the top, followed by Bailite, number 2, and then Brahms 3 in the third seed, and finally WolfgangCloud himself as the fourth seed, I believe. Congratulations. Bummer for Kinesthetics, who went to 1 but ended up getting shafted on breakers. He is the only 2-1 that didn't qualify. And I am sorry. And the other one,
nature of like when you have like these awkward amount of people like that you're usually gonna have, someone is gonna have like, oh my god, I was like just
yeah,
there. That's just sadly the nature of these kind of things.
it is, but it still sucks.
Yeah. Ain't much we
With
can do
that
about that. No
said,
one know.
I have the pairings up for the next round. So let's take.
I'm just gonna make a quick shout out to the fact that on like the O2 table, we had Necro versus Spark. Necro was playing blue green Turbofog, and we had the land destruction
Like the land
Martyr deck.
yeah.
Who do you think wins that matchup? Because I wouldn't have expected it to turn out the way it did.
I have no clue. Probably Turbo
I
Fox like a bigger deck.
I would imagine the
So
land destruction deck would like just slam a planeswalker at some point and then just kill some lands and win the game. Like, but no, Turbofog won actually. I would actually expect the last deck to just completely wreck shop there. I'll admit I don't know the lists, so I'm actually a bit surprised with that.
there's not that many Armageddons, and you can just
True.
make the plan to just counter all of them. Like your point is like 4 Armageddons.
Even
and
then,
you
like
use
just
counter
random
to 4.
threats, like planeswalkers just feel like they just randomly just slowly win the game against Turbofog. Depending on which planeswalkers you play, admittedly. Like if you're playing Gideon, that can probably get Turbofog quite hard, but something like a Johnny, that's pretty gonna get there. Now again, this depends on how you win with the Turbofog list and such, but
Yeah. I will
again, this
be
is something
honest.
we'd have had to see that match for. Not gonna lie, I would have loved to seen it. We didn't, alas. But yeah,
Alright, let's
I think we can get the top 4 on the road.
yeah, I just posted the results. The matchups are gonna be Brahms versus Wolfgang and Evios versus Bailite. And we just watched Evios versus Bailite, so I say we watch Brahms versus Wolfgang.
I'm with you. We haven't actually seen Wolfgang today. We
Oh, we
Highlander
haven't, you're
technically.
right.
So let's just make sure they aren't here in the booth. They're not. So we have Brahms, who we did see on mono green. We actually have two medium green, mono green beatdown decks here. Stompy in the top 4 actually. Quite impressive showing for that. Just showing that if there's no one really to like disrupt you sufficiently or like go even faster than you somehow, like these decks could just take over. Bailite on we saw on the Absent control-y grindy deck of a mid-range shell. And then we have WolfgangCloud, who we haven't seen today, but I imagine is on his Grixis splashing green for Oko
Nope.
mid-range list.
Nope. He went back to his alma mater, and he's
Ramesh, just a quick. That's not the question. The question is how do they find out who goes first?
oh. 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 No,
Not,
let's
not,
just
not
do
who
it.
the pairings are, but who goes first.
I think we did not think about that. I imagine random. Do you think it should be seed based?
I mean, I'm always pro random, but you tend to favor seed based. I think with how few rounds to spin, I think it's not worth saying seeded. I think random with how few rounds we had is perfectly fine.
Okay.
Like,
can you let them know, please?
that's just my take on it.
Seems reasonable.
So let's try and get the show on the road. Let's get some.
Wait, is Calvin in the top 4?
Nope. Did I attack the wrong people? Oh, I accidentally attacked Kelvin. That's why.
Okay, so we have a match underway here. That's a turn 1 sulfuric vortex. So
I figured. I just knew it. I knew Wolfgang was gonna go back to his staple in this tournament, not take any chances. No hostages.
I was trying to mention that it turns out that Wolfgang did go back to his original to the deck that made him great, and is just playing more red.
Make Wolfgang great again.
Wolfgang made himself great again. He has a turn 1 sulfuric vortex onto the field.
Pretty reasonable. Currently the game is not up on the stream at the very least.
I am so sorry.
So I presume that was like a Mox something draw?
Mox.
Yeah, double Mox draw, yeah. Holy crap. Into a Stormlord Berserker and a Freeman and Burns play. Yeah, that seems pretty freaking good. Pretty freaking good. Interesting that EVOs, with all these non-basics that you play in the medium decks, Brahms, is choosing to play this card that only really, which is like, it's a 5 spell for 1 green, but it gets a real good upside if you have 3 snow-covered permanents in play, snow permanents in play. However, I think like the only snow-covered snow permanents are like snow-covered forest in Brahms deck. So it
Yeah, but
might
he
be
probably
to say
still has like
if you control 3
16.
basics. True, 16 is a reasonable amount, but I feel like that's only going to be turn 4 or 5 realistically you're going to have it. Wolfgang, just curving out, just going, yeah, I have creatures.
I hear it on the
2 from
spot. It
Sulfuric
is
Vortex.
exactly 16.
Deal with it. Yeah. So how does Brahms deal with this? By the way, you should probably change the names and the titles of the decks as well.
I'm working on it. I was doing the hands.
Yeah, I'm just being friendly and doing a reminder.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry.
So probably gonna see removal here on the Berserker, I imagine, of some sort. So probably like Prime White for, yeah, whatever, doesn't really matter. Because then you have a 4/3 to block the 2/2s. You can't really cast. You can actually cast your 5/5 if you really wanna. That's actually not too bad of an option. But the problem is, then you're taking 3, you're taking 2. Suddenly you're at 3 next turn if you do that line of play, unless you want to double block, in which case you're taking even more damage. Either way, things aren't looking great currently. Ooh, pumping by enough here actually makes it so you can fight twice. I do like that. That's a nice line of play. It means that you don't take any damage on board. Still, this is a 4-turn killed by the Vortex here. You're gonna have to raise them with this, admittedly with a pretty good card in hand in the form of a 5/5 haste trample boy. And is a 4/3 you have play also pretty decent at holding back a bunch of 1/1s and
Like
2/2s.
2/2s, yeah. It is not a
Finale?
human, so it can
Finale,
block.
pretty big card there. If it wasn't for the fact that Safari Voltics straight up stops you from getting life, so probably more likely is that we're gonna find some sort of enchantment, like a
Yeah,
Rex Sage or similar here.
you have Finale for a Rex Age.
Yeah, Rex Sage or something of that kind. I'm not sure exactly what we get. There might be something at 4 I'm forgetting. They might be playing, but I imagine
It might be Questing Beast, I guess.
I could see Questing Beast actually, no joke. Yeah, because it's
Like,
going. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna race you.
yeah, I'm gonna race you.
Deal with it. and then Wolfgang goes, haha, cute wolf, haha, deal 4 damage with an instant or sorcery. Pass the turn.
It's like cute. Here's a 4 for haste. Also, yeah, because like the racing part is gonna go pretty well because there's also a reality smasher in Brahms' hand. So like Wolfgang is incredibly dead next turn.
We can also just like double up our creature if we felt like that was the smarter play. It isn't. Side note, it isn't. There's actually less damage. So we just slam in here, we just swing, we just go. Have something or don't. Can't really deal with it anyways. Can even like we can't actually activate the Oasis as well.
I have to imagine
pretty
that's
rad,
not
though.
a thing, right? Yeah, it costs 3 to activate Oasis.
Well, you do go with the God Eternal though. Not sure why you don't just play the Reality Smasher.
I mean, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't. You're right. I guess if your opponent because if your opponent has an answer to a Questing Beast, like they would probably have killed you either way or kill it already.
Yeah, it's like there is no scenario in which you untap with a Questing Beast.
And Wolfgang just saying, would I have one next turn? Yep. Sure would have.
It's like, yep.
Lethal on the
would
top.
have 100% happened, except you are dead this turn.
Already dead. I really like this calculated gamble here from Brahms. I think I would still have gotten the answer for the Big Vortex because you could still die to like Fire Blast there instead.
Yeah.
Which you are able to play around if you don't say that line of play. And I feel like you were like with Reality Smash in hand. I feel like you could make the argument that you're more afraid of your opponent just hitting like 2 free mana burn spells, and that's perhaps more likely.
Wolfgang's hand is kinda nuts.
Wow, Brahms just mulliganing like a madman. I think this is a 5.
It's a 4.
It's a pretty good 5. Oh no, it's a 4.
It's a 4, yeah.
Oh. It's a good 4 though. It's a good 4.
Yeah, this turn he gets
land.
Eat the idiot.
Slam a 4/5. But the problem is that 4/5 is then gonna trade with a 2/2 and a burn spell.
No, I'm just eating the 1. I'm just eating the 2/2.
I think that's actually worse. No joke. I would rather have the 4/5. Also, Mana Crypt.
Yeah, it is a liability.
Damage on average each turn. Not great. And destroying lands, not great either.
Maybe his plan is to just get very lucky every time.
I'm curious to see if Wolfgang just goes full on aggro here and just goes face immediately. Depends. No, if you eat, oh, see, this is where you get punished. I see that Braden response. I'm really gonna punish him here for going for the fight here.
I mean, to be fair, if he got a 4/5, he would have
Well, if you got a
traded
4/5,
for
you
an
at least
upgrade
trade.
anyway. No, because you can
then
do
you
it with the
trade.
trigger. You can do it with the trigger on the stack. So like trigger on the stack, you're like it's a 2/3. You go to double the counters, and he's
Oh,
like
this is
upgraded.
true. This is true. Correct. And he does actually go for the double. You're right. I forget it is a trigger. Not it ends with twice as many. Correct.
Yeah. Because
Usage and
because
necro,
it
sorry.
has to be a trigger in order to give you the choice to fight target something.
Whoa! Interesting choice. Chooses to actually upgrade the macro tier instead of just letting it take away. I do like that. Considering your opponent's position, he doesn't know that actually is. I was gonna say it was gonna be bad, but apparently it's pretty good because your opponent just drew Nissa. Sorry, not Nissa, Vivian. 5 mana more specifically, and would have been able to slam it now. So this went from questionable to no, actually it's really good.
Never mind, I'm a genius.
Pretty much, yeah. So we're just gonna see like good old 3/3 come down here, swing in for free. Just kind of have a scary board state here. Have some burn in hand because why not?
Is there a showcase Vivian like $1 billion
We should probably
in
set
Magic
the
Online?
score correctly. I do believe Brahms has already won the game.
Yeah, they're 1-1 now. Is this showcase Vivian like $1 billion on MTGO?
I don't actually know.
Because like I don't think I've seen anybody have.
Well, that's
Not
the
even
same as
just in the
Vivian.
10th point, just period.
It is Vivian what?
Monsters Advocate. Does it just not exist on MTG or something?
Let us check it out. That's the foil, isn't the one I'm looking for. It is not on MTGO as far as I can see.
Oh, okay. Well, that explains it. It's
Actually,
too late.
no, it has a promo. It has a 2-text promo on Arena. So no, it's actually cheaper.
Yeah, weird.
But I think it's just low availability, perhaps.
Maybe. But if it's 2 ticks.
Looking in the hands here, and a reasonable hand from Brahms here. Bit awkward in that if you play the turn 2 City Traders to play free drop, then you have to sack it if you play the land afterwards. So you probably go turn 2 pass, I'd imagine here, because you want the 4 mana. Wolfgang with an incredibly powerful hand here. Not insane by any means. Like we're not talking Mox levels here. Not that great.
Yeah.
And Eidolon actually isn't that insane in this matchup, considering your opponent's playing a lot of 4
I think
5
I like
cards.
after considering. I think I like going like I play the Ronas next turn. I play the Jambrazer, sacrificing the City of Traders, and then I can play another 4, another 3-drop the
Yeah,
turn
I think
after.
drawing the land makes it so I'm happy. I think drawing the land here makes it so I'm happy going with this line of play.
Yeah.
Had I not found a land, I think I'm just playing it safe.
Yeah, that's fair. It's easily the Lockwood because the Ronas can't attack or block quite yet, but like it's gonna be able to eventually.
Yeah. Though I think Wolfgang's plan here is probably going to be at some point to, with the Soulscar Mage being played, like anything that has too much power, you can like double burn spell down like over time, or like even just one burn spell make it tiny.
Yeah.
Like they play Gemmer, so you play a Braid, it's suddenly it's a 1/1. Please do block. I implore you.
It can't.
Ooh, we go ahead and equip with Skull Camp here. That's aggressive. At least I assume that's what's going to happen. Yep, sure is.
But the Ronas couldn't block, right? It can only block if there's another creature that's sufficiently swole.
We don't play the Rex stage here, do we?
No, right, we play the Jambrazer.
Like that can come down next turn, right? We wait a turn.
the Jam Razor also allows the Ronas to attack and block. And as you have
like you
seen
should probably
before,
attack here.
like Brahms doesn't
Like you
need.
get punished so hard for not attacking here.
Like
Like you know the Soul Mage is gonna stop you from having a full power creature most likely.
the thing is just that Brahms, the way that Brahms
Ooh,
deck
what?
operates, he is the control in these. Like
Yeah.
Wolfgang is definitely beat down,
Well,
but
control
it's
is not the right term here,
closer
but
than
he's
you
not the
would.
beatdown currently. That's for
But
sure.
that's my point. Like it's a lot closer than you would imagine. Like it's true that Brahms deck is out of the gates a little slower, but when Brahms deck gets going, everything that he puts on the battlefield is a hideous monster that WolfgangCloud is like, I cannot
And
let
that's
the
just
thing
rude.
enter combat or I will die.
Calling things hideous monsters. How dare you?
I mean, have you seen a Gem
Incredibly
Razor? It
rude.
does not look great.
You monster. I'm curious to see what happens here. I think we just. Do you? I actually kind of like the idea of braiding here.
Holy smokes, this is the first time that I see the promo, like the showcase frame for the Gem Razor, and it looks awesome.
Well, at least one of them. I think there's like a third one as well. I feel like. Yeah, because there's also the what is it called?
Yes, there's the Godzilla card also.
Godzilla line, yeah. So interesting choice here to actually use the lightning strike instead of the abrade here. I'm not sure what you think of that. Do you think there's enough artifacts that is worth to keep the abrade around? Then do you
Yeah,
want to
there's a
really
skull
destroy
count on
here?
the field, obviously. I'm kidding.
like I'm now Wolfgang doesn't have access to Brahms list here. How many artifacts are Brahms on in total?
I mean, you expect Brahms to be on a decent amount of artifacts. Medium decks tend to play like 10-ish or something like that. The exact answer is actually no. Brahms is only on 4 cards. It's only on 4 artifacts.
That's what I
Well,
figured.
5.
I don't actually expect you to play a many.
Okay, sorry. It's 5 artifacts actually because of the stone
Yeah.
coil. But
Yeah, and is it including creatures that happen to be artifacts? There might be a couple of them
yeah,
as well.
that is what I'm looking for.
Okay.
There's like a walking ballista. There is a stone coil serpent. So there is some
Interesting
additional
card.
other artifacts.
I'm just going to talk about a card here while you look. Wayward Guide Piece was a card we were discussing, Wolfgang and I especially. We are like probably two of the more like prolific mono red players. How good it was before we really got to testing it. Wolfgang's actually been quite happy with it, as far as I understood from him. It's a bit of an interesting card because it's not like the typical wonder if you want to play, but on a board state like this where you can play it and then like bounce back your land and cast it again without like losing tempo on board. It's just like a free 1-drop that can generate your mana each turn, which is really good.
Final count 7 artifacts.
Yeah, I actually really like just killing the reclamation stage here and attacking for 4, and then just bouncing my land and then holding up like my 2 free mana spells. Yeah, this is what we're gonna see as well. I like that. I like this.
There's 4 mana rocks and the other 3 are artifact creatures. A walking ballista, lodestone golem, and stone coil serpent.
So we're gonna see a couple of dogs come down here, presumably. We could also see, is Ronus 4 or 3 power you want? It's 4, right?
It's 4. So if
Yeah.
you want to run
So
us to
just pumping
attack, what
the
you can
Race is
do
not enough.
at some point is pump the Paradise Druid, and that's enough to make the Ronas turn sideways.
Or if you really want to go down that route, you can also pump twice.
Yeah,
like
but
activate the castle, pump twice is an option.
Is Castle also?
Activate
Does
abilities.
Castle
yeah.
allow to activate ability or is it just cast?
No, activate abilities and cast creatures. I'm quite certain because I've literally seen people use it before to activate Kenrith.
Yeah, cast creature spells or activate abilities.
Yeah, so I like this line. You just this is slightly awkward. So you know how Wave Guy Beast does allow you to quote unquote gain some mana? It does to some degree. But you have to use the mana either before or during your combat step. Because then you have to
Yeah.
cast the land after your combat step, so you can't actually cast this Confluence. So
Yeah,
I
it doesn't
think
allow you to cast
we have a
a
couple
card
options
that
here.
costs...
We can kill like a creature and force them to block with the two others. That's one line of play you can go for here. I imagine this is what we're actually gonna end up seeing.
Ooh, Berserk. That's kind of crazy, kind of
Ooh.
aggressive.
Oh, we're berserking our own. Yeah, I like. You know what? Yeah, I like that.
I guess that the thing has hexproof, so you know it's not gonna go poorly for you.
Mhm. This does mean, however, that you don't have lethal next turn, which is like you could possibly have had lethal next turn by like making the Paradise Druid big enough, then attacking with Ronas and doubling his power. It is like not exactly lethal, but it's like close. And could, depending on the board state, do it. Interesting choice here to block with the Paradise Druid instead of like Razor and the Boreal. I think I like keeping the oh right, the Paradise dies automatically. Never mind.
Yeah. The Berserk is
Okay, we're
going
just gonna see the Eidolon here coming down. Wolfgang's just looking for any mana source really,
Mm.
and then they got the win. Currently, how much damage are we presenting here? We're presenting double activation of Ronas to turn, say, Gemracer into a 5/1. So that's 10 damage,
into a 5/5.
which means we're probably... Yeah, so I imagine we're actually going to see the Eidolon jump here if that's the lineup play we go for. I don't think you want to go to 1
You
on
don't
this
think?
board.
I think both of those creatures have trample? Question mark.
No. The Ronas does not. He has Death Touch, though, for what it's worth.
Oh, can it target
So,
itself?
with the
No,
something... what is it called again? Fiery Islet. I think you still want Fiery Islet in play. I think you just kind of need to, and especially with Idol in play, if you have an Idol in play and you go to like even 2 or 3, you just can't really cast spells. Like that leaves you in a I have to cast Fiery Confluence if you have 2+ life.
Okay.
And if you have 3+, at least you have some flexibility.
Brahms in the tank.
Yeah, I think the question is, like, if you don't attack here, it just feels like there's a lot of you to just kind of like you just give your opponent time. Like you don't use your mana anyway. I can
Yeah.
see not attacking with the Ronas here, but I think you just attack for 1 at the very least and just go like, yeah, you want to trade? You can trade. That just feels wrong though. I think you have to pump here, double pump. Your opponent doesn't have red mana open, so they can't most likely like punish you. They don't play like Godshot usually. That's just not efficient enough.
The thing is that
The only Fire Blast is the only real free spell they could cast here, and they don't even have the Mountain for that.
the thing is Brahms doesn't know about the Fiery Confluence, right? So he doesn't know that the moment that WolfgangCloud finds another land, the game just immediately
We actually have no
ends.
man in chat. He agrees with you. You definitely attack here. Like this is exactly why. If you attack here, you put your opponent at like dead next turn, pretty much. Not guaranteed. You actually trade with the. You could trade with the Gem Racer and go to like low enough and then
Sphinx
kill the Boreal
is
Druid and hope they have no
really
creatures.
good.
That just feels like real sketchy. Kitchen Things actually doesn't save you. It is really good with a Braid though, against the Braid. So we have an interesting thing here. If you pump the Kitchen Things, which presumably you do, that makes Wolfgang have to choose between keeping you in Fiery Confluence range, or stopping you from attack with Ronas this turn.
Yeah.
And I'm really not sure which one you go for here actually. Because if you
I think he goes for neither. I think he's still not interested in attacking.
I think yeah, Brahms might just pass here. I don't like that. Once again, I want to be aggressive here. I want to pump my Kitchen Things and get in. Like, what's my opponent gonna do here at this point? Like, at this point, you're just setting up for your opponent to just find burn spells.
Yeah, but like it doesn't make
eventually
sense.
find-
Like if he intended to do that, I think we have already seen that, right? Because if he intended to do that, he would have probably
Yeah,
activated
you have
Castle
you have to
Gambling.
pump. I guess you can
Like-
pump here actually before attack. I was like, he doesn't have summoning sickness. He just can't attack. So you could pump there.
No,
Lance
you
is
activate the
lethal
Castle
now.
Gambling, and then you go Kitchen Finks,
That
pump an
is
Kitchen Finks, attack
not
with Dormouse.
lethal, but it's a pretty interesting card to consider. So if you cast this and go face and hope to find something, or at least stop them from gaining life, problem is then you pretty much just die on the board. I think you just kind of have to keep a braid up here, sadly.
Yeah, just kill whatever they go pump.
I don't like how Brahms is playing this. I feel like Brahms is playing too defensively, honestly, here.
I think Brahms is
Not a big fan.
giving not enough. Is not giving enough. Is not giving enough respect to the amount of reach in WolfgangCloud stack. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure, they are idle and fire rally to play, but you're not putting pressure on them. You're allowing them to just kind of sit there. Also, very interestingly, the fact that your opponent just went one turn with 3 mana untapped and didn't actually sack the fiery islet tells you that there's something that they want to cast that probably is pretty big.
Yeah,
Or so like you probably know they have either fiery. No, I was gonna say fire blast in hand, but they would still correct the fiery island in that case.
Yeah. I think if you are
Maybe like an
careful,
X.
you
Oh
are
no, that doesn't
starting.
make sense either.
You are
Can't think
definitely
of anything.
starting to put WolfgangCloud on Fire Confidence at this point, or
Yeah, Fire
something
Confidence
to
is
that
one of the
effect.
few cards that has a red, but Hazoret is really bad here on this in his hands. On that, if your opponent has Hazoret, congratulations, good luck. And like, if why didn't they cast something last turn? I guess it's a question you have to ask yourself. Like, do they not have anything? Are they just like stuck with lands in hand? But if they have stuck in lands in hand, why not like Fiery Islet? Like this Fiery Islet gives you a ton of information just incidentally. Yeah, you don't want to cast Absence Pilgrim. Putting yourself for free is just suicide.
Yeah, it is not
You
worth
you,
the
you just want to like
effort.
pump the so here's an interesting thing. I guess you tap the Boreal Druid to pump,
No,
because
you
otherwise
have
you have to pump
you have
twice
Castle Gambling.
immediately, and that's just kind of bad against the removal spell.
You don't need to tap the Boreal Druid. No. Wait,
Did the
what?
stream crash or is it just me? It was just me who was lagging. No, they
Stream
go ahead and
seems-
actually just go all in. Please at least pump the Gem Razor. Don't go all in on the Kitchen Wings. Pumping the
No.
Boreal Druid? Why are you not pumping the Gem Razor?
Mhm.
That doesn't make any sense. What does the Gem Razor have? Like the Gem Razor, I guess the Gem Razor already has trample, but like, how does that even matter? It's a 1/1. So it's not like you're gaining anything by pumping Boreal Druid out with the Gem Razor. What are you going for here? I don't get it.
So the other thing is that a play that you could have done is tap the Boreal Druid and leave a forest open, and then after you
I like tapping the Boreal Druid here and
Yeah.
attacking with everything else.
attack
With a
him.
pumped things. Then if they kill the things at one point, I can pump. If they kill the things before my Ron's attacks, so that he
Yep.
doesn't attack, then I can pump it and still attack for like with my Ronus or Arena Wanna.
Yeah. Also,
And if they don't
the thing
kill
about
it,
tapping the
like
Boreal Druid is that it leaves you with the forest on top, which means you can deploy this Avacyn's Pilgrim after you have forced the
I'm
chump.
just kind of surprised Wolfgang didn't go for the line. So here's the problem with the line Wolfgang took here, and that is sure you kill the Gem Racer here, but like the way you win is Fiery Confluence, and you don't find it. The problem is if you actually killed the kitchen things there, yeah, you don't win with Fiery Confluence,
Drawing
I suppose.
some sort of bolt.
But then you might actually have like a full-on extra turn. Because they're not attacking with the kitchen things. I guess they have a 3/1 trampler getting in. You can take that. You can trade with that. You can trade, that's fine. And then you have like, I guess you only have one turn either way then, probably to win. So it's yeah, actually probably thinking about it, Fiery Confidence is probably to play either way. Yeah, not sure what you're gaining by pumping the druid instead of Simraiser by Bailite. That part I'm not sure of. The problem with erupting EOT is that it is a sorcery, sadly.
Yeah.
I would have loved to erupt the face if I could, but we can't.
Yeah, but yeah, some sort of bolt would also have been lethal there, because you can then go cast
Erupt is
that.
more of a volcanic hammer with an upside than it is a lightning strike with upside. I feel like Brahms should just kind of have won this match already if he played a tad bit tighter. Wolfgang just kind of got like just short of like, and Brahms just didn't dare go all the way. It feels like to me.
Yeah, but I think it's not gonna end up mattering. I think the reality is that WolfgangCloud is short here.
While we're waiting for this game to finish up, like I was like, I'm not seeing how Wolfgang. Like you can kill the kitchen things, but then it's just double pump.
It
You
involves
play two
some
creatures,
amount,
but then they have
like,
lethal with trample.
it involves some amount of Manamorphos into a bunch of stuff.
What, Metamorphose?
Yeah, like the WolfgangCloud getting out of here with cards he could potentially cast involves him going like, I don't know, some sort of Manamorphose bolt, something like that. Cracking the fairy islet using the other lands. It doesn't work. So now he had to spend the removal on the things, which means that
I mean, really. Wait, how did?
the Fiery Confluence no longer is lethal, is the problem. Though I guess
Please,
you would
someone tell
mana
me
home for.
what did I miss, and how did Wolfgang actually survive?
So that when what's his name went to pump, he pumped the kitchen things with the first pump, and it got shocked or something in response. So in the end,
No
what ended up happening was
Wait, but
that
what shock could have done that? He didn't have a shock.
oh,
So you do one
you're
to
right.
everything
I don't
here, and
know. There was a
you go
harsh
two to
mentor onto
base,
the
and then you
field.
go
I
two to
don't.
base.
What? Did he misclick or something?
I have no clue.
I will go look at the game log and see if I have figured it out.
Okay, Brahms has to take something that has power, basically. Wow.
Trigger the
I don't know how,
bloody.
but Wolfgang won this. What did I miss?
The only attack was kitchen things, and
Well,
harsh mentor blocked it. Oh, he couldn't attack. He couldn't activate the Ronas because with Harsh Mentor on the field, every Ronas activation costs you a bunch of life.
yeah, but he had 7 life.
Then
Like,
I
you can take
don't
double damage.
know.
Honestly, take the damage, take the risk. Fuck it. If you're afraid to take the risk, your opponent's been playing very defensively. You made a giant mistake there, my friend.
Well,
I don't see how that really ends up working out in your favor, though. That's the problem, in my opinion.
well, it worked out in Wolfgang's favor, I suppose. And miraculously, it appears that the other match is already over too.
Yeah. So that actually gives us a pretty. Who won that? Reference?
I assume Evius because the match is over, but I'll go check.
Bailite went 2-0 actually.
How?
Bailite actually can win games.
I don't believe you.
Sure.
Was it two? Was this match 2-0? No.
I will also point out there was a lot of times, especially in Brahms, I've just him sitting there. How do I pump? Do I pump? So like this wasn't. Yeah, there weren't a lot of turns in these games, and they were like kinda-ish over early.
It
Especially
was
the last one
Wolfgang,
here,
then
Strike
Brahms,
Counter.
then Wolfgang, right? Is that accurate?
Bailite Wolfgang should be our finals.
No, I know, but like this match was game 1 Wolfgang, game 2 Brahms, game 3 Wolfgang, right?
The first game was the first game the first game was a Brahms because he won against the Vortex game 1.
No, that was game 2, I think.
What's that game 2? We will have to ask them. That's the easiest choice. 1 second.
Yeah,
I'll
please.
just jump in and ask them quickly.
It doesn't matter too much, but
Wolfgang won the first game.
yeah, so it was correct. It was Wolfgang, then Brahms, then Wolfgang. Yeah, that's what I figured. Well, let's watch our finals. This is a match for the ages. It's like a tale as old as time. Abzan Control versus Burn. Abzan Midrange versus Burn. Junk
It's
v
still not
Burn.
burn.
That's
It's
like
mono red. Yes, it has a lot of burn spells, but I wouldn't call it like burn. Like I feel like to classify as a burn deck, you have to like at least have like somewhere around 2/3 of your spells being burn spells. I'd say. That's I think that's my rough wager.
fair enough.
Like there's no hard number here. Like this isn't a science by any means. And likewise, I wouldn't call it like a full-on slide deck. I like to play it as a slide deck. That's how I like to play it. I like to play very like play a couple threats, use my burn spells to initially kill the creatures off the board, and then if I have burn left, then use that as a finishing tool. Some people like to use the burn spells generally speaking more aggressively on face than I do, for example. Depending on the matchup and depending on the board state, of course. Whereas I like to play more like not controlling per se, but like
You like playing
I'm
it more like
fine
a
with
slide
throwing my
deck.
2-mana free damage spell on there 2/3. Even if I
Yeah.
can attack
You like playing like a
through it.
slide deck where your removal spells are a way to
Yeah.
clear the path for your creatures.
Yeah. Exactly. Like they have flexibility for a reason. Use it. And sure, sometimes it's pretty obvious that yeah, your Arc Trail should probably just kill them 1/1 and 2/2. But also times where like you think you should put your burn spell at a creature, but you should go face and vice versa. And I think those are like the real like that's where you really see a good red deck wins pilot like Wolfgang, just recognizing when to do what exactly. Like just the small decisions like that you just have in that type of deck just really accumulates. And yeah, sure, mono red is an incredibly easy deck to pick up and do fine with. But like there are so many decisions that you just don't consider. Just something as simple as what is the probability of me drawing a haste creature? What's the probability of drawing anything? Is even more important, I think, in a deck like red, because you have that how probable you find the burn spell over like another threat can change how you play a line 2 turns prior or something. That being said, let's just try and get this match on the road. I believe we have the camera set up on your end, so we just need to get the stream set up.
I'll
Yeah,
just
there
let
we
them
go.
know that they can go.
Sweet. And then we set up everything in the meantime. Do we in fact have Wolfgang on red deck when it's up? We don't, sadly. No, we have to change the text then. Darn it. How sad.
I'll live with it. I'll survive this. Wolfgang mentioning the matchup, he does not think that the matchup is great. And to be fair, I think about 30 cards in Bailite's deck somehow gain some life. So
I slightly disagree.
Oh, I don't think it's
This
abysmal.
matchup could be. I think this is a pretty 50-50 matchup. As weird as it seems, I think this is a pretty 50-50 matchup for Brahms. Maybe 45-55. And this is specifically because of how Bailite builds his list. Bailite
yeah, that's
is,
fair.
in my opinion, just that stat smidge too greedy a bunch of places. He just plays a 4-drop and place where you play a 5-drop. He plays an Emrakul just as a one-off like top end. Like those are the kind of
Just,
things where like I feel
Emrakul.
like they kind of just add up. Like they just you just see them adding up time upon time again. And that just gives you that flexibility you want as a mono red player. To just stick it in there. Yeah, sure, they play a bunch of really good cards against you, and like it's a shell that in spaces is in its core is really good against mono red. Siege Rhino, I actually haven't seen that in ages from Bailite. I'm not even sure if he's even playing it anymore.
I assume that he's still playing Siege Rhino.
I feel like it. Like it still feels like it's a good enough card at this point. Like I don't know. If not, that just feels like it's criminal. But like,
Do you want
Bailite
me to check if he's still playing Siege Rhino?
Sure, go ahead. Might as well. Yeah, Lowman does make a point that over time, Bailite has tuned more against mono red. He has been definitely a lot greedier at some points. He's been playing like Mulch, Venture. I remember him playing at one point. And then due to the fact that he's played especially against our meta, he might have a specific version of our meta even. I don't know. Not gonna say that for sure. But he's definitely gotten more and more safe with his build.
Unsurprisingly, he's still playing Siege Rhino.
He's still playing Siege Rhino. Makes a lot of sense. Interesting choice here, choosing to get greedy with the Abbot here and get the Scorched Spitter down here on the board instead. I do like taking the light up stage here a bit. Actually, maybe not, because the Death Shaman eats the Scorched Spitter. Leaving it with just the light up stage is not that bad. Whereas the Abbot can be kind of decent. No, we choose to take the Abbot here. Leave the Abbot and take the spell here. Either way, it's not looking great for Wolfgang. Like, you just got disrupted real hard in a hand that does not deal well with disruption. Hymn to Torek is a really good card against mono red.
Against
really
almost everything, really. But
yeah, not completely true.
No,
if it's in a slow matchup,
true, but
it can be less relevant at times. But like, in a way, mono red is really good at mono killing, in that it's really consistent at drawing like solid hands. But in a way, it's also really bad, in that it wants as many cards more than some decks. Like, if Bailite has a 5-card hand against Wolfgang's 5-card hand, he's so much more favored than a 7 against a 7. It's ridiculous.
yeah.
Because Bailite's cards just do that much more.
Yeah, it's just all of Bailite's cards are haymakers, basically, whereas
Exactly.
you are kind of
Like,
trying to get their own volume.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just look at this. He plays play a 4/4. 4/4 Flying Vigilance. Like, even if it didn't do anything else, that's sufficient.
It also does everything else.
Yeah, now it just happens to attack, probably kill an Abbot. Next turn it gets Double Strike and swings for even more.
Yeah.
I'll admit, Furtive Retribution is not a card I like. I feel like it's make a 4/4 that then gets killed by anything, and then you just have a random ass Saga sitting in play.
Yeah, but
I'm not big on it.
It's still traded for the removal spell. But
Yeah,
definitely.
But I feel like, yeah, that's true. But I feel like, look, I'm a safe player. I don't like these greedy lines. That's not my nature.
I guess the question, if you want a 4-mana 4/4 Flying Vigilance with upside, is Furious Retribution better than Serra the Benevolent? And I think the answer is probably not.
Yeah. Hot take. I mean, 4/4 Flying Vigilance, we have a Planeswalker that makes that. And that card isn't even seen playing in just about every deck. Like, I only see it's played in, like, D&T and such.
Yeah,
like, if you don't play... I would rather play that Planeswalker, because, like, it at least does something if the token gets killed. Furious Retribution doesn't.
Yeah, that was
easier to cast. That is the problem I have with this one. It's a fine card. I'm not gonna sit and look at someone playing this card and just go, yeah, why are you playing this card? It's garbage.
It's high there.
Just feel bad. But it's like, I feel like you just play something that's a tad bit better, and isn't just gonna look at a like failed push or literally any non-red removal spell and just cry a bit inside.
It's high variance, is what it is. It's like
It's high.
you play
Yeah.
your Frigid's Retribution and
It's
your
slow
opponent
as
has a
well. It's
removal
really
spell.
slow.
It's slow, but also like you play your Frigid's Retribution, your opponent has a removal spell.
I just feel
You're
like in a
not
deck
gonna
like
feel like
Bailite,
you
I don't
got your
want to blow
value
forward.
out of it. You play it and your opponent does have a removal spell. It takes its time,
Yeah.
but you're gonna feel like your opponent did. You
Ooh,
did
I
get
really
your
like
value.
Wolfgang's hand here. If he's on play, so he can go turn 1 Young Pyromancer. I really like that. A bit awkward that it's not the red mark specifically. It would have been really good. But it's fine. But you like this mulliganing here? This is what I'm saying. This is another case. Like, grapple the past. Grapple with the past. Like, that is a
Grapple
2-mana
with the
do
past.
nothing selection card. I just don't feel like this is the kind of card. I just feel like there's a bunch of places where he's just a tad bit greedier than I think he should be. Again, this is also coming from a guy who plays mono red, so of course I'm gonna be like, oh, just play 1-mana and 2-mana cards. Why aren't you playing 2-mana cards instead of 5-mana cards? So
I think that in his case, Battle with the Cross is kind of a lane. It's what it's gonna happen.
yeah.
Eliminate is a great pickup for him.
Yeah, that's a
Eliminate's
really good
gonna
pickup.
allow
Like this
him.
young Pyromancer is like a real big deal. So yeah, like I really like this pick of the eliminate.
It's
Yeah,
gonna allow you to
yeah,
get rid of
and
it
it's gonna
before.
it's gonna allow the lingering souls to really get going. And God, is that card just good against mono red?
Yeah, I mean, there's also the Night Incarnate, which can kind of mop up
Yeah.
after all of these garbages.
Interesting
Sad,
choice.
but
I actually quite like casting Mutagenic Growth here on the
ooh,
Pyromancer. I'm not against that.
I guess
Just because
he's
like they're not playing
in.
red, so I'm not playing around burn spells. I guess you can get like through some causes and such. That is something it does do. Those kind of
I'm
creatures.
guessing that he's going to rely on the Night Incarnate more. I think that's his plan because
So I think the way I would have gone about this is I would have cast Eliminate this turn on the Young Pyromancer.
I mean,
Next
I
turn I
agree
would
with you.
cast Grapple the Past if I needed a land. And then cast the Elvish Mystic next turn.
Yeah, but
Using
now
this
you
life
don't get
flask
to
as well.
cast Eliminate or Grapple with the past. So
Why not?
Well, I mean, not this turn. You just get to cast
because you
this
have
elf that died to a thing.
Once again, I kind of just like casting this Mutagenic Growth. I just kind of want my 1/1 immediately. Like, just give it to me. That is 1 more damage each turn, please. Just please. Yeah, exactly. Now we see the Grapple of the Past being awkward and slow.
Oh man, I forgot about Witch of the Moors.
Yeah, once again, I'm sorry if I keep rambling on about this. This is one of those things. Once again, great card once it gets going, and if you get to grind it out with it. But it's 5-mana, and I want a lot out of my 5-mana cards.
Like, I think that
And
I think you end up paying a whole lot to this card not being able to gain you life in any way. Like, if this card had lifelink, I think I would be more into it because then you'd be like, okay, I have a 4/4 with some text, and then the next turn I get to attack and trigger. But because you don't, it's like, what am I even doing? Like, because you don't. Oh, Kitchen Finks. Man, the top of the deck keeps being very friendly to Bailite.
yeah, really, Kitchen Finks is a really big deal here. Wolfgang just wants his red souls. Just like, where's my additional red souls? Please, please, can I have it? Please, sir, can I have some more? That said, I think this might just be lethal either way. Let me just, yeah, you block the Abbot here, and then you tank 5, 6, 7 to some Mutagenic Growth. Kitchen Finks doesn't get to come back, so you're dead here.
Well, Incendiary Flow exiles anyway, so Kitchen Finks.
That going phase 2 also works. Like, yeah, you can kill the Kitchen Finks, which is actually more damage with Abbot, technically.
Yeah.
Like, this is just... Bailite stumbled. And didn't put themselves in nearly as much of a position to not just get hit here as well. I think the fact that they stumbled could have been alleviated somewhat by playing a slightly different, some different
I
lines.
think
So
that
yeah, they still only got 3 lands.
I think that playing the elf was very bad on the turn where he played the elf. I think that was a pretty
Yeah.
bad blunder.
Now, I was a pretty
Because-
good proponent of using the Mutagen Growth very aggressively there. Lohman does make a decent argument in saying that the only way he expects you to lose this game is Toxic Deluge, which is definitely a reason to keep the Mutagen Growth around. It allows you to like say 1, maybe 2 creatures if you have something with prowess, just out of nowhere. Oh boy, this is a hand from Wolfgang as well. Bit heavy on the mountains, somewhat. If it wasn't for the Fire Blast. Turn 1 Noble, turn 2 Swift Spear Bolt. Seems pretty decent. Why not play this Stormkirk first? Like, that card is a card that is so
Yeah.
much worse on turn 2 than it is on
you
turn 1.
wanted to hit the battlefield as fast as possible.
You wanted to hit it immediately. I don't like this landing here from yeah, we're probably just gonna see the Lapper here. It allows you to look at some more cards. Pretty good once you have a Fetch line as well. But I probably expect the Cabal to be the card we are gonna see off his hand here. Do you think we go face with the Fork Bolt here, considering just how much burst we... Wait, no, don't play the Lightning Bolt. No, what?
Mm. To be
3
fair,
toughness is a real big deal. Like, I'm not afraid of my opponent playing a 1-1. A 2-2?
Okay.
Well, sure, I'll lose the damage of Bolt in that case. I just feel like the 3 toughness creatures are just that much more prevalent and relevant.
I think Bailite is likely to go for the Kambal here. Of note.
I
You
could
might
even
just go.
see keeping the Prince here and going for Prince to rest if you really want to take 4
That costs you
damage.
4 life.
Yeah. It's
I
aggressive
don't
and
know
it's
if I like that.
trying to, and it just ends up trying to hit a Fire Blast that might just get cast then instead.
Yeah, I
That
don't
said,
like doing that.
I think you just want to get the Cabal down here, and then I think you keep the Prince for like next turn.
Yeah. It is worth mentioning, however, that the Kambal is a human, so it cannot block this.
Correct. It is. Not I think it's gonna matter. It's gonna be just fine. Happy blocking a Swift Spear either way.
Well, the Swift Spear with 1 prowess trigger doesn't
At
get
least
eaten,
trying
it
to.
just bounce.
Doesn't kill it. Correct.
Yeah. So it is worse.
Yeah, and now the thing is, you can't kill the Cabal here. Like I get it. You can't read Bailite's mind and see there's like a ball in hand and you have to keep the bolt.
Yeah. How
But,
about
like,
the Stormkirk novel dies?
this is perfectly fine line as well. Yeah, I like it. Another reason, once again, why I think Stormkirk should have been the turn 1 play. Because if you don't get Stormkirk Noble rolling, it's a 1-1. Really, really not that great. By the way, I believe the score is a 1-1.
Okay. Hellspark Elemental.
Elemental? Yeah, I like this a lot better. You can choose to kill the Liliana here. Not unreasonable.
So if you
But
don't...
actually, I just kind of like... How much damage do we have here? We have 6, 7, 11. I actually kind of just like going face here. Cast the Forkball before attacking. And just going
Cast the
face.
Forkbolt
Putting
before
my opponent with
attacking
2.
and expecting that you're gonna get there. Basically.
Yeah. I think that's perfectly reasonable.
Your deck's gonna feed you some amount of burn.
Yeah. So like the Liliana can dig a bit, but outside of that, you're just sending your opponent. You have to have some life gain. Now, Bailite has life gain, and then some.
And
Silver
the other
Library,
thing is oh yeah, he goes to 1. And the other thing is
Wait, 1? Did I
you
miss
have
one?
the
I think it's 2.
Hellspark Elemental in the graveyard too.
Yeah, exactly. Hellspark, so you have a guaranteed sort of damage next turn.
Yeah, I mean it's
kind
not guaranteed.
of
Yeah,
1.
okay.
That's actually even worse. So you can't keep extra cards with library. Not that you were going to either way, but you know. So I believe it's 3 life you gain from the Prince. Is that correct? So that's enough to survive next turn.
I mean, assuming the Prince would also jump in front of the Hellspark, if I had to guess, but it is 3 life.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you want land here. You don't want the rest. Removal is fine, but you want the land.
I mean,
You could Prince play the first. Not completely unreasonable either. I think I kind of like. I guess the land is a
I
bit of
think
blood curve.
I don't hate going like putting the land on top, and then
Yeah,
going
playing
like
Prince first, and then
Prince
next turn trying.
Bloodshifter your idiot.
Yeah, reasonable. I think my mindset's just so green and just like, yeah, I just kind of want to play the Prince and then go for land and then set up Fractus next turn. I guess is my mindset because I can minus on the Swiss Spear, so that reduces some damage there. I then trade with the Thunder if that comes down, and anything else doesn't really kill me.
Oh, Winding
Because either they
Blade.
have to kill my 2/2 or they have to go face, and if they go face, well, yeah. I just kind of like the greedy line of play that gets me the land here, but this is a perfectly fine line of play as well.
Yeah,
Just
I
surprised about
suppose
this.
that
No man
you're
would
gonna
go so.
need, in order to get this stupid Swift Sphere to deal enough damage, you're just gonna need too many spells.
Do we have in hand there? Something or another that costs 1 mana?
The draw was Lava Dart.
I am super punished. I think he thought he had lethal last turn. I don't think it's actually. I still think it's the correct play either way. Lava Dart is actually really good.
Do you get... That means that you don't get the Elemental. Don't you want to get back the Elemental here?
So I think the answer is no. And here's why. It's called Liliana. You get the elemental back, you attack, he trades with the Charming Prince, he Liliana's back, he plays the Prince again, presumably.
Right.
I think you just have
Ooh,
to Lava
Death
Dart
Gorge
and pass the
Scavenger.
turn.
Death Gorge Scavenger also gets to exile the
Yeah,
3/1
this
from the
game is over.
graveyard.
This game is over.
Yeah.
This stopped being a game because Wolfgang. The very fact that Wolfgang actually did not play turn 1 Stormkirk, I think that literally lost him the game. As Loma has also pointed out, the fact that that could have completely just put his game on his head. Yeah, we're aware. And I think that's also one of the things, like we mentioned this. In general, I like playing my haste creatures last, because yeah, in some cases it can be the same amount of damage. Like, do you
Yeah.
play the turn 1/1 haste and then your turn 2 1/1, or do you play the turn 1/1 and then your turn 2 1/1 haste? It's the same amount of damage usually. Of course, if there's some attack triggers or something like electronic tomato that I can't actually remember the real name of right now, Boma Courier,
Bomb Curry.
that you kind of want as early as possible. Same with the creature here, the Stromkirk Noble. That's also something you want as early as possible. Whereas Swiftspear is a weird one drop in that, yeah, you're fine playing it turn 1, but sometimes it's just a bit of pseudo 2 drop. Because then you play a turn 2, you play a shock, you swing in for 2, and then you have your 1 drop, you play turn 1. That, like,
Okay.
whatever.
Okay. This Lava Man is a kind of a real card.
I mean, the game's not even. This game isn't even close. Like, we're wasting time here. As sad as I'm sorry, Wolfgang. This was a really interesting study in like just what that small difference can make. I think I mean Wolfgang could have won here if he. I was gonna say, but no, actually, game isn't over. I'm sorry. I'm talking like the game is guaranteed over. There's a slight chance, at least this round there was, of Price of Progress. I forgot.
Yeah.
This is a card that's actually
You...
existing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Bailite will eventually get himself over 8, which is
Because my line of thought was like, oh, you can lava that, fire blast. Wait, no, first you can't do that because you already cast fire blast. Also, you would only have 1 mountain left, so that wouldn't work either. And then you drew from the master, so that made it even more impossible. So this is going to be a really... We can't see Bailite's hand currently, but Fractusk is in hand, Camball makes all burn spells, especially like Lava Dart, really, really bad. Liana's able to get you back, like... I was going to say Emrakul for the memes, but that's not even too far off at some point. You get rid of the Lava Mastery. Oh god, yeah. That's just going to like put this game way out of league. Now we can attack, we can grow both the temporarily Discord Scavenger and Carlo permanently. Charming Prince is ready to block. We play a Camball. Now that burn spells are pretty bad. Like this is just a downward spiral.
Yeah, this is just if you are Bailite.
So I think this is a pretty clear who's gonna get the 2-1 here. Is Price of Progress? Yeah, Price of Progress is.
It is still an out for now.
I think it is exactly enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Because they go to 10 if they play. Presuming he plays the Camball here and hasn't found something that gains more life. That means casting Price. No, Price actually isn't enough because Camball.
Yeah, because Camball will gain the life because Price happens. Yeah,
I was thinking like the Dart would deal the last 2 points of damage. Yeah, but we know he has Camball in hand, and that's probably gonna be the creature. Yeah, but Camball gains more life than you deal with the Dart.
Yeah, but he's going to.
If you do it EUT, if you do it before the Camball, then you don't have mana for the Price of Progress. And then he has Fractusk in hand. That you don't know, but...
So, I guess he only has 1 Dart.
How does he have the mana? What am I miscounting here?
No, he just...
yeah, because Prismatic is actually one of them. You're right, Prismatic. The fact that they played this Prismatic actually makes a difference, you're right.
Yeah, because now they can, even if you crack it to get the basic, it's fun. But they didn't draw pop, so it didn't get that bad, right? Punished. Well, that was a match and a half.
At least it's with a first special qualifier winner in Bailite.
That's all I have to say on this.
Let's see if we can get Bailite in here. And hey, Bailite, yo, can you hear? He can't hear us because he's muted. Bailite, hello.
Hello there.
How's it feel, man?
Not bad, not bad.
Not bad. You lost to EVS 2-1, and then you decided you compared against him in the quarterfinals, and you went, you know what? I'm just gonna 2-0 him quickly, get him out of the way. What happened in that game? We kind of missed it.
Fauna Shaman was really the main player there. Stuck around a lot in game 1 and let me fetch my removal creatures in Shriekmaw and Murderous Rider. I might have fetched Knight Incarnate in that game as well. Yes, I think they resigned from game 1 when I fetched a Plague Engineer that would have killed 3 creatures.
And that will do it probably, yes. And then we saw some pretty tight games here, definitely. Here in game 3 against Wolfgang, those were close ones.
The Fire Blast especially was pretty squeaky.
Yeah, the miscount there was definitely like punishing, especially my draws right after it.
So, I mean, as someone who commentates, you definitely knows all of these mistakes, and especially when you have low man commentating as well, you will notice even more on the sidelines. But one thing I noticed that I was going over a lot, and what I think both Lowman and I concluded was one of the major decisions that ended up deciding who won, is the fact that Wolfgang chose to lead with the Monster Swiftspear instead of the Stromkirk Noble.
Yep, and that was on the idea that I actually thought that the Swiftspear was going to die. Like I was thinking that I wanted Stromkirk in the matchup more than I wanted Swiftspear, and it just ended up that it was the other way around. So
yeah, it also ultimately, like, that play was the one that ultimately ended up costing you the Stormkirk, because then the Liliana was able to pick it off.
Yeah. I also believe, because of the way my draws ended up punishing me, if I had been more proactive and attacked with the Thunderspark elemental instead of waiting, because I knew that Bailite could buy back the uh, Charming Prince.
Yeah.
It would have meant that you went down by one more, then the probably would have still played the Dino. I don't know if you would have bought back the Prince again, because I don't know if you had enough mana, but it meant that I could have actually hit in with the Swiss Spear for lethal with the Lava Dart.
Ah.
Yeah, it was punishing plays after the punt. So
Yeah. I
Definitely
think
some. You first, Bailite.
it's with the way the online meta's been going, for at least for the 10th point. I was definitely glad of the decision I made a few weeks ago to add a life gain package.
Yeah, that's what I've been noticing. You had like this Carlo that's suddenly just like in there. Like I'm like, interesting choice. And yeah, it turns out you just have a bunch of random ass like Carlo just gain life here and there.
Oh, Karlov and Scavenging Ooze are best friends.
Sure.
yeah, I faced a lot more of the life gain stuff in our previous match during the Swiss, and getting my sulfuric vortex him detract. I felt really bad.
Yeah. You normally think that's your safe threat.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you only have like 5 cards in your deck that can answer it.
Hey, I play black green. We answer everything.
Yeah, because you
True.
have
True. Or white. White also just says about
Yeah.
anything by itself.
yeah, it gives them
Except black and
Mortify
white
and
especially.
Vindicate.
Have you been playing
yeah.
that new black-green removal spell, the Saga? What's his name?
Oh, the Binding of the Old Gods.
Yes.
Yeah.
Binding of the Old
No.
Gods.
No, I think it's a bit too slow.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of that card in Standard, so that's why I ask.
Okay, yeah. I definitely like it. I think it's cool. But I think at 4 mana, I'm already feeling slightly stretched on 3 mana removal when I'm playing Vindicate and Mythos of Nethroi. But
Right.
so at 4 mana, I've currently got 4/4 and they're all pretty threatening in their own way. In Sea Rhino, Questing Beast, Firja's Retribution, and Gonti.
Right.
Yeah, the Retribution seemed very, very good.
It's
Yeah, it's
slow
looking
is
good
what it
there.
is. Like, if your opponent has like a fatal push and they kill your angel, and then you look at your future distribution and are like, great, this guy doesn't do anything now. Fantastic. But you know,
It's like a 4-mana creature,
yeah,
basically.
it is a 4-mana creature with some upside. But if they kill it before you get the upside, it is just a 4-mana creature. It is kind of
Yeah.
weird that, like, if you look at the Kaldheim rare sagas, like, I think that like 8 of them are some form of chapter 1 you get a creature, chapter 2 you
Yeah.
get paid for having that creature, chapter 3 you get paid more for having that creature. Like,
Yeah.
Blood
I mean, that
Sky
makes sense. Like,
Massacre is like that. There's like the one with the birds that I don't remember
know.
what it's called. There's like a few.
I think the problem, in my opinion, with it, and I think actually, ironically, Bailite Stake is a perfect example of this, is that there are a lot of cards, especially in black, a lot of the blacks and black greens best removal mentioned CMC 2 or 3 or 2 or less or something like that, which means that it's really good at dealing with tokens, meaning that 4 mana for a token, pretty much, is kind of a downside in my opinion.
Yeah.
It is pretty notable.
Yeah, I can see
And
that.
also of course, also the odd bounce spell that you do see, like Jason Minus Sculptor, Brazen Borrow, those kind of things as well, also deal with it quite efficiently.
Yeah, I'm not so sad if I'm trading a card for it, but if it's a loyalty ability or, as you say, a brazen borrower, petty theft, then that is a bit worse. Although the one thing that is a nice upside for my deck in particular is the fact that it's an enchantment that sends itself to the graveyard.
Yep. That is actually a really nice thing, agreed. You do have a couple of cards that do care about different types, card types. You have your Emrakul, you have your Grimflay, I presume, still in there.
Yep.
Haven't seen it today, but on stream at least.
Yeah,
You
so I've got-
have what else do you have? You don't have Traverse the Elven Wolf, do you, anymore?
I do.
You do.
Yep.
And then you have two more. You have Tamagotchi, and I think you have like one more card, I can't remember.
I think that's about
And
it.
of course it's just random threshold and such as well, if that's relevant.
Yeah.
General fuel for the graveyard in different ways.
General graveyard population is always welcome.
And just in some random case you might trigger like fatal push just randomly. Like this just all these light synergies. Which
Yeah.
is one of those really interesting things that you end up in the format like Canadian Highlander. You end up with all these like cards that just have small interactions here and there that are worth keeping in mind, even though like these are cards from sets years and years apart. Like they haven't decided in the same way. Like you have a standard where you will plan like we have this set with this mechanic and this set where we have some cards that just happen to work well with this set. Woohoo! We have clerics in this set, and then we have some cards that just happen to be clerics in the next set. Like we don't have that. We have like a goblin stick, and then suddenly we get some more goblins cards, sure. We also just have like these random synergies that just kind of pop up over time.
Yeah.
Alright.
So another example with the retribution is if it is an elongated game, I can make a creature, and then little bit later the saga goes to the graveyard. I can Eternal Witness that to make another creature without having lost the first creature in the meantime.
Also, maybe you have some. Do you have any ways to blink it? Because I think that the Charming Prince can only blink creatures, right?
Yes. I don't. I'm not playing Yorion or Flicker Wisp or.
Again, I am used to using Yorion to blink by Binding of the Old Gods. Is mostly what I'm asking.
That sounds pretty nice.
Yeah, it's great. Like the deck plays the sea gods bounty.
Revenge.
The Omen of
Oh.
the Sea, and then you get to play Binding the Old Gods, and you also sometimes play Elspeth's Nightmare, and like all of those cards are pretty nice to flicker. And you can also reset your Maze Mind Tome that has 3 counters on it, and you're like, I don't need the life, I want 3 more cards, and then you flicker it and something like that. Either way, I am going to try and close the stream before we get to 4 hours, which we're getting dangerously close to.
We're actually just a tad over 4 already.
Oh no, I've been recording for 4 hours for just less than 3 because we had
the dead time.
Anyway,
It should be just sub 4.
Want to...
So once again, thank you, Bailite. Congratulations, Bailite. Also, thank you though for playing. Thank you to everyone for playing. Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Thanks for hosting.
And just as a reminder, if you want to send it next week, we will go back to our usual time slot, and we will go back to our usual season tournaments. The time slot is Sunday at noon EST for those that are aware. You can type ! next event to get us there. And outside of that, there isn't a whole lot else to say. If you have enjoyed,
if you want to talk the Canadian Highlander, we have our Discord. If you want to learn more about us, we have a website. And I guess if you want to help us out, Twitch Prime, that's where it's at. Or just a general subscription of some sort.
Yeah, we would absolutely appreciate it.
It would be a great way, and we'd be more than happy. Am I single? Yes, I am ready to mingle, correct.
I'm gonna. I saw that.
I am a single. I am not a playset yet.
I see that Surge.
Oh
is
god,
live,
that's the fucking dirtiest joke I have made ever. That is the Jesus Christ. That wow.
I am not sure that they get the problem, but we'll.
Oh, there's no problem here. It's just a nerdy joke.
All right, you know what? Let's go hang out with Serge, shall
That's
we?
right, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
We will be back next Sunday, like usual. Bye.
I didn't know that was from this line.